Mostly sunny and 27 with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Australia's path forward for nuclear-powered submarines will be unveiled this morning as the AUKUS alliance takes the next step. More from US correspondent Jonathan Kersley.
Anthony Albanese will be joined by US President Joe Biden and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak for one of the biggest announcements about Australia's defence capability. It is expected to include the purchase of Virginia-class submarines from the US in the 2030s, and Australia is then likely expected to build nuclear-powered submarines in the years ahead. The finer details to be announced in the US shortly. The AUKUS three-nation alliance was set up to counter Beijing's Pacific push, and overnight China's President Xi Jinping said he wanted his military to be a Great Wall of Steel. This morning, the UK Prime Minister warns China's aggression over Taiwan threatens to create a world defined by danger.
Some promising news on South Australian jockey Jamie Carr. She's awake and communicating with her family after an horrific race fall at Flemington on Saturday. While a crowd of around 7,000 turned out at Morphettville yesterday to see Rebel Racer win the Adelaide Cup ahead of Aurora Symphony. The 10-year-old Sydney boy who survived a fatal helicopter crash on the Gold Coast says he's in good spirits. Nicholas Tadros was in a helicopter at SeaWorld when it collided with another chopper. His mother died. After undergoing more than 30 surgeries, including a partial leg amputation, Nicky's told A Current Affair his doctors are pleased.
My kidneys have woke up and I'm no more on a fluid restriction, and my liver levels have gotten better, and all my blood test results have came back really good.
And a Queensland boy whose transplant bone marrow cells were bizarrely left on a US tarmac has undergone potentially life-saving surgery. 6-year-old Matteo Eglerton received a stem cell transplant yesterday. He and his family will have to wait at least 2 to 3 weeks to see if it's been successful or not. There are concerned students from poorer families are missing out on NAPLAN testing. More from Donna Siramana.
About 1.3 million students are this week due to be sitting literacy and numeracy tests. But data published in The Australian shows students whose parents are unemployed are about 3 times more likely to miss the standardised testing than those who have parents in secure work. The gap widens in high school, with 27.8% of Year 9 students with unemployed parents skipping the NAPLAN reading test last year, compared to 7.8% of classmates with professional parents.
And the US president's promising stiffer regulations after the collapse of 2 banks. Trading was temporarily halted in dozens of US banks earlier this morning as shares fell by up to 75% when Wall Street opened. Joe Biden says investors will lose money, but customers will be supported.
Your deposits will be there when you need them. Small businesses across the country, the deposit accounts at these banks can breathe easier knowing they'll be able to pay their workers and pay their bills. The management of these banks will be fired.
Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with cricket. India has claimed victory 2-1 in the 4-match test series against Australia after the 4th and final test ended in a draw. Australia finished day 5 on 2 for 175 in its second innings. Despite the disappointing result, Aussie captain Steve Smith is full of praise for the squad, including star spinner Nathan Lyon.
And Nathan Lyon, I think he's gone from strength to strength. He bowled beautifully again throughout this series. In fact, I think he bowled his best I've ever seen him bowl in the first innings here, on a wicket that wasn't offering a great deal. So, he keeps getting better and better.
That audio there thanks to Fox Cricket. Well, we're only a couple of days away from the start of the AFL season, with plenty of excitement ahead of the season opener between Richmond and Carlton. Locally, both Adelaide and Port Adelaide will train ahead of their matches this weekend. The Power will hit the track at around 10:30am, while the Crows will be in action at West Lakes from about 9:30am. One game in the A-League last night, with Western United keeping touch with the top 6 after a 2-1 win against the bottom-placed Melbourne Victory. Adelaide United sitting pretty in second spot, 3 points clear of third. Aussies Jordan Thompson and Jason Kubler are out of the Indian Wells Masters in California after suffering third-round losses. The action continues today with plenty of big names, including Taylor Fritz, Felix Auger-Aliassime and Yannick Sinner. While on the women's side, number 1 seed Iga Swiatek will be on court as well as 4th seed Angers. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, and mostly sunny, heading for 27 today, more of the same tomorrow, 29, 27 again for Thursday, and warmer on Friday, up to 34. Right now, 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Then put your little hand in mine.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday on 5AA Breakfast. In fact, not Groundhog Day. Might well be like a day like none other in Australian history this morning when the announcement comes out of San Diego with the Australian Prime Minister, the US President, the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak there as well. We'll take you there live. We'll have all the analysis. We'll have the heavy hitters in South Australian politics on the program to dissect what gets announced. That means South Australian Senators Penny Wong and Simon Birmingham will both be on the program a little bit later this morning. But of course, in and around that, Luce is going to be reviewing Groundhog Day. It was the movie drawn out of the bowl on Friday. Everything shifted on account of the Adelaide Cup Day long weekend. So we'll get to that over the course of the morning as well. And take your calls, most importantly, on 8223 or via the Duttons text line, or indeed the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. Hope everybody is tanned, rested and ready after a long weekend. Adelaide Cup Day yesterday in the midst of Mad March. Huge weekend at WOMAD. Got along yesterday. It was the only day I went, and the crowds were nothing like they were on Saturday and Sunday. It was pretty regular sort of an attendance yesterday, but it was pretty crazy over the weekend. But just walking into the studio now, Sam Daddo said something to me, which in a sort of offhanded way has become something of a policy debate in Australia. He said, I could get used to 4-day weeks. There's a whole group of people who think that we should all not we should get very used to them, and that they should be the go.
There's that emerging area of science that suggests in controlled circumstances, the evidence is that productivity is unchanged. Output is the same, which I've got some questions about.
I've got some questions about it too. Although I'd be much more swayed by examples from the corporate sector than a discussion paper written by a Green senator, which is what in Australia, all the evidence we have at the moment is in the form of this parliamentary committee, a Senate committee that's been looking at it, heavily stacked out by Greens and Labor people, the Greens being passionately in favour of a 4-day week, some Labor people open-minded to it. But one of the world's biggest companies, Unilever, has switched to a 4-day week, has it not?
Oh, I'm not familiar. I know there's a few that have. A lot of the Silicon Valley type startups, mind you, they're not having a great couple of days.
Well, there's one bank that's shifted to a no-day week now. Isn't it funny how all these wild-eyed private sector types talk about, we want government out of our lives, we don't want any intervention. The moment it's the fan, they couldn't ask any quicker for a government bailout, could they?
Well, it is a bank, as opposed to, it's not like they were, coming up with VR goggles.
No, but at the same time, though, like, they hate all regulation, aside from the urgent passage of laws to save them when they stuff things up themselves, don't they?
Well, I think, are they being saved, or is it just their clients are being saved? Because I think if you've got money with them, you're like any banking customer in the United States. You've got the first $250,000 of your money guaranteed by the state.
Yeah, I get the logic of it, but it is a bit cute, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the idiots who made the stupid decisions that led to them going bust aren't coming out of this going, oh, well, we'll give it another crack, next week. Their clients that did nothing wrong, that would potentially stand to lose, are being protected.
Now, as Will said at the start of the show, it is going to be a momentous day in Australian history. I've got to admit, and I reckon a lot of you would feel the same about this, folks. I don't understand what's going on yet with AUKUS. And part of me has this weird sort of like a tinnitus type thing. I've just got this weird concern that we might get dudded somehow.
You mean Adelaide?
Adelaide, yeah. That's my first concern. Call me unashamedly parochial. I just reading some of the usual hairy-chested neocon commentary in The Australian. God bless The Australian. I work for The Australian. But they're getting a bit tired with the old, ASC this, couldn't build a canoe, talking about the car industry as if the only thing that destroyed the car industry was union pay demands. Such a narrow and inaccurate view of what actually happened to the car industry when it was the rising cost of exports, the high dollar. It doesn't matter how big or frightening unions are in Australia. You're never going to compete with Thailand. Unless we think that you should pay people $4 a day in a society where the average house now costs about $700,000. I mean, if that's your business model, then good luck to you, because no one's going to work for you. Even a country like Mexico, the family that I lived with over there, my brother had a factory making jeans for Ralph Lauren, and he shut it down 3 years ago because he couldn't compete with Bangladesh. That's how globalisation works. Australia becomes uncompetitive, then Mexico becomes uncompetitive, then Bangladesh eventually will become uncompetitive because
some emerging African
Rwanda will beat it. So it's this sort of race to the bottom. So, but I don't know. I just feel like I get the sense too that our state government feels
concerned,
a bit in the dark about what's going on.
Well, I guess they haven't been privy to any of the conversations that have happened to this point. I was interested, all the quotes that were attributed to people in the Premier's office and so forth over the weekend in the news reporting were all that they will be waiting and watching with bated breath on Monday morning, like the rest of the country, which very much strongly indicated that they weren't across the detail of what's going to be announced. I think the thing that makes anyone nervous who's watched politics for any length of time is the prospect to get to the point at which these things get built in South Australia. We're talking about a period of 15, 20-ish years until one gets rolled off the production line. And that being the case, how many changes of government has it got to survive as a concept? How many economic slowdowns does it have to survive as a concept?
Well, if you look back at history, you can answer that question. Because how many positions have we had on the subs over the last 20 years? The best way to work out what's going to happen in the next 20 years is to look at what's happened in the last 20 years. Because a lot of the dramatis personae are the same. There's people in the current federal government who agree with that half-wit ex-defence minister who stood up in Parliament and shortly before he lost his job and said, I wouldn't trust the ASC to build a canoe. That is still a sentiment. David Johnson, that's right. That's still a sentiment that exists in Canberra. And you can read it, in our nation's newspaper.
Well, the only thing I would say, looking optimistically at this, is if we could fast forward to a time in which these things were being built in Adelaide and look back, the start would look the same right now. There's nothing more that can be said or done to get these things built here, to get the jobs here in South Australia and to start the industry here. Because the reality is you can't just start, you can't grab a hammer and start knocking out bits of submarine-shaped metal down there today. There's a longer lead time than that. There's expertise. There's an entirely different form of shipbuilding. There's an entirely new shipyard that needs to be built. There's no way to do it quicker than this. So it's going to require a lot of trust, obviously, and it could go wrong at a whole heap of stages. But right at this point, it can't look any other way. It's just there's no other model that says it's going to happen here quicker, sooner, and with a more ironclad guarantee. It's the nature of major projects and nature of democracy in this country. But we'll take you to San Diego for the announcement a little bit later this morning, described by Richard Marles, the Defence Minister, yesterday as the biggest announcement in the history of the country. And we're going to keep that in mind as well. We look at it, obviously, parochially through the eyes of South Australians that see this as an industry announcement. As far as defence announcements goes, there's not been anything bigger. You go back to 1951, you look at the ANZUS alliance being announced, significantly less fanfare, just sort of came out of the Second World War and the security realities of the Pacific region, the Indo-Pacific region. You look at the formation of the Royal Australian Navy in the 1900s, sort of coinciding with the start of the Australian state. It's hard to argue with the sentiment that's coming out of Canberra, but we'll get you across it over the course of the morning.
It does end once and for all the idea that Australia's a little irrelevant country down the bum end of the world, as Keating used to say. The arse end of the world was his term for us. We're sort of mixing it with the big boys now.
Well, 6 countries on Earth have nuclear submarines. They are the most advanced weapon systems that exist. They cost a lot too. $200 billion, David, they're talking about this morning.
It's hard to wrap your head around a figure like that.
Should we do some Dutton's texts?
Yeah, someone telling me I'm wrong about the car industry. Unions did kill the car industry. Sure, $4 an hour ain't good, but neither's 60. Thank you for that. One here from Andrew, echoing exactly what we were saying here, mate. He says, what a joke successive governments have been on subs. It was November 2014 when Senator Johnston made his infamous canoe statement. Nearly 10 years later, we've finally made a decision of what submarine we're going to get while China's Navy has exploded in size. And if you're on the 4-day week, 4 days a week is fine if you want 4 days pay. One here from Michael. David Koch works a 4-day week. Does he? Does he? He's right at the end of his career, I guess. He can do what he likes, particularly when the ratings are that good. Another one here. I'm sure nurses will be able to look after 20% more patients while they're working a 4-day week. That's a really good point. There's a lot of industries where I reckon people say, look, we're not even talking about it with you.
Mm.
I mean, they're going to do it to Ambos?
Well, yeah, the union might be up for it.
Who knows?
16 after 6. Great text coming from that Dutton's text line. Thanks to Dutton's 3 dealerships, 10 franchises in the Adelaide Hills and Murray Bridge. Dutton's, easy to do business with. We've got some news headlines coming up for you next.
Adelaide Direct Stationers is more than just stationery. We're one of SA's largest suppliers of tech products, washroom products, PPE, workplace health and safety equipment, office furniture, food, snacks, beverages and much more. We have all your office and business needs in one place, with free next day delivery on orders over $50, plus same day 2-hour express delivery. Adelaide Direct Stationers, serving SA's largest businesses and a preferred government supplier. Visit adelaidedirectstationers.com.au.
Meet Sophie.
Hey.
She's a local Steadfast insurance broker, so knows lots of business owners in the community.
Like Luca, who runs Luca's Building Co. By understanding their business risks, I can arrange tailored solutions for them,
so they can be confident they have the cover they need.
Find a local Steadfast insurance broker in your area, like me.
Steadfast, the strength you need. Deductibles, exclusions and limits apply. Insurance is issued by various insurers and can differ.
Hi, can I help you? Yes, I have a snoring problem.
Can you describe it for me, please?
Well, it's about 5'11" with curly hair and a moustache.
Oh, I see.
Introducing Mute, sleep technology that opens the nose to increase airflow by an average of 38% so you and your partner can enjoy a good night's sleep. Mute. Breathe more, snore less, sleep better. Available now at leading pharmacies.
When you've been around for over a century, you know a thing or two. And Business SA and Ray White have almost 300 years between them. So when an alliance is formed between Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA, they're bringing all their experience to your business, making sure it's in top shape, whether you're buying, selling, or somewhere in between. Get in touch with the experts, Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA on 8300 0000. That's 8300 0000.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
90 minutes after 6, news headlines on this Tuesday, the 14th of March. It's nearing 72 hours since 2 young Adelaide girls were last seen by their family. The sisters were last seen during a 4-hour supervised visit with their mother, but they never returned to their father, and that was when the alarm was raised. The 6 and 8-year-olds from Kidman Park are still missing as police ramp up their search.
I'll tell you what, if that woman's paying any attention, if she's listening, I saw you guys did this big last night, and rightly so, on 7 News, Will. Just do the right thing. You know, these poor kids, they will have their routine. They'll know that they're not in their routine. Just go to the local police station and say there's been a misunderstanding.
The Mad March weekend in Adelaide proved to be popular once again. WOME Adelaide attracted more than 110,000 people with a record number of first-time attendees. That's not you, but you were one of the 110,000.
I think there's a bit of a split emerging between the original I've been going to WOMAD for years people and the blow-ins. Because they increased the gate massively. It's up to 30,000 now. Now, a lot of people are saying that it's not designed to cope with that. Ian Scobie, the festival director, has come out and said, look, according to the AUKUS health and safety rules, we did everything by the book. And he's the sort of guy who would do everything by the book. It's one of the reasons why his business has been such a huge success. Arts Projects Australia. But, Saturday night, by all reports, people were losing their minds a bit over the toilet queues, the food queues and all of that. Although, what do you expect? I'm sure if you go to the Glastonbury Festival, you got to queue up for stuff. There's a certain amount of what you know what you're getting yourself into. If you go to a mass public event, I guess the tension for WOMAD is whether, like the two big headline bands, Bon Iver and Florence and the Machine, are they necessarily world music bands, or are they just sort of Western bands that attract huge crowds?
Yeah, it goes to the whole question of what the point of the festival is. I can tell you what, it combined with the Fringe and the Adelaide Festival of the longer weekend brought in $128 million into the state's economy from local, interstate and international visitors. $128 million, or what's that, 0.05% of a nuclear submarine program.
Hotels were... that should be our new benchmark for everything. How many snow peas could you get if you bought a submarine?
The AFL
The answer is 6 packs.
They're actually paying the US in snow peas. That's going to come out in about an hour's time. The AFL will spend $25 million on a long-term study to examine the damage from concussions. News Corp's reporting the league is launching a 5-year plan that will see 4 full-time staff employed to manage concussion. It will also establish a hardship fund where ex-players will be able to access hardship funds for one-off payments and ongoing care. I saw that really interesting. I don't know if these are in mainstream or if it's just a concept at this point in time, but junior mouth guards that have a little chip or something in them that can detect violent head movement. So you can keep track of at junior level, presumably from among adults as well, but it was certainly sold as something that for juniors, you can get a sense of whether kids are in danger or there's been too much violent stuff. Because
that's predicated on one very important thing, though, Will. The annual, Dad, do you know where my mouth guard is? Mouth guards are like TV remotes. They just vanish. You buy a new one every year, and the other thing that happens to the mouth guards, there's a 50% chance that your child will, if it's microchipped, your child will eat it. Your child will just chew it to bits and swallow it. But what happened to the mouth guard? Well, I've actually eaten about half of it.
They need you as a design consultant on this. I think they need some real first-hand practical experience
in there.
Yeah, I think that's an exceptional idea. Australian avocados will soon be exported to India after the federal government negotiated lower tariffs on the fruit. A large glut of Hass avocados last year saw prices plummet and prompted growers to look to other markets. So that process was made easier in December when the new trade deal with India came into force. So a lot of these things lined up pretty nicely. Avocados Australia Chief Executive Officer John Tyas says the market has enormous growth potential.
There's definitely a sophisticated market in India that is primed for our premium quality Australian avocados, and we can see that market growing rapidly, and we think that Australia can be a really big part of that.
Can't think of a single Indian dish that uses avocado. Not one.
Well, maybe they're going to get into the smashed avo breakfast. Maybe there's an emerging
Well, you think about the
Indian
size
middle class.
The size of India, if only 1% of them are hipsters, that's a lot of smashed avocado.
What is that? Over 100 million hipsters.
Imagine that, and all their beards and their drinking their IPAs. IPAs.
Well, it is Indian Pale Ale, isn't it? So it's the home of,
it's
the home of the IPA.
They invented IPA.
Top of 27 today, top of 29 tomorrow. Thursday gets to 27 as well. Friday's really warm, 34 out of almost nowhere before getting back to this mid-20s range for the weekend. 27 Saturday, 26 Sunday, 25 on Monday. Impossible to talk about the weekend without reflecting on the fact that this is, this week, the official start of the AFL season. Tom Wren's in the studio with us. Get 10-year warranty, 10 years cap price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning to you, Will. David, hope you had a nice long weekend. We often do it on the Monday, but given we had yesterday off as a public holiday, we'll do the winners and losers for the Tuesday. We'll start with the reason we had the public holiday, and that is the Cup yesterday. The winners, the winning trainers, husband and wife team, Amy and Ash Yagi, they bought the horse, Rebel Racer, 3 starts ago. Basically wasn't wanted for $35,000. It was a discard, essentially, from Mark Kavanagh. And in the last 2 starts, they've won more than $350,000.
I'd say that's a good return on investment,
so
Rennie.
They've done pretty well, I reckon, haven't they? So they're a couple of big winners. Great effort yesterday, winning the Group 2 feature, the 3,200-metre race. It was outstanding from them. Great ride from Craig Newitt, leading from start to finish, so a really good race there at the Adelaide Cup. Other winners from the weekend, Scotty Scheffler winning the Players' Championship ahead of the Aussies, unfortunately. Minwoo Lee and Cam Davis, who looked very, very good for a long time. He won $6.8 million. That's the PGA Tour, not the LIV, but a great effort from him. He's world number 1 again. Another big winner, Nestoroi Irankunda. How well is he going?
It's ridiculous, and he's been rewarded this morning, Rennie, with not an official call-up to the Socceroos squad for the game at Ecuador, but he's going to be a trainer on, and Graham Arnold in the press materials made the point. If he trains well, he's got the right attitude, he might play for the Socceroos.
Amazing.
His 17th birthday happened.
Still hasn't started, I don't think, has he?
Hasn't started a game. So the last 6 games, 4 goals and an assist in really limited time. One of the most talented... He might be the most talented Australian under the age of 18 in the world of sport.
It's unbelievable. Isn't it amazing how in the A-League, do we value fitness too much over ability?
Value experience. I think the A-League does have a problem with promoting young players. And there's a lot of people that have done a lot of work on this that will say, even in the big leagues in Europe, there is a desire, at the very least, to introduce young talent more so than there is in the A-League. There just seems this propensity to say, oh, well, we've got this 34-year-old Australian bloke who's done a stint in Greece for a couple of years and he's come back, we should really be giving him a go. It's counterproductive. Thankfully, at the national team level, Graham Arnold has no problem calling up these guys.
Which is great. And look, to his credit...
Graham Arnold? He was on the front bar last week with Fitzy. It was one of the great interviews.
Yeah.
He doesn't really do much media.
No, he was exceptional and doing a great job, and rightfully got a contract extension after the World Cup effort from the Socceroos. But Carl Veets said he's noticed a change in Nestoroi Irankunda as well, which is fantastic. I think it's really hit home, just how hard he has to work, and he's just loving it. So well done to him. New Zealand cricket, a big tick to them as well. Another thrilling test match, which was outstanding. Last
unbelievable
ball,
finish.
Unreal. So needed 1 to win off the last ball, and they
with
got
1 wicket in hand, was it?
2 wickets, I think.
So it was 2 wickets off there was 2 balls. I tuned in when there was 2 balls remaining.
It was unreal.
And anyone could actually have won the test.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. It was a great test match.
Which is amazing off the back of their last one against England.
That's right, yeah.
2 in a row.
It does mean that India and Australia are going to play in the Test Championship, which is like the grand final for the last 12 months. That's going to be in June. So the Aussies,
of course... It's been played in London.
At the Oval.
Yeah.
Which I think's excellent.
Yeah, I think it'll suit our bowlers a lot more than it will India's. But India's still got some decent quicks, so that'll be interesting. Losers, Matt Crouch, unfortunate. I mean, he just can't take a trick, broken leg. Not at the overly serious end anyway.
It's a hairline fracture, isn't it?
Yeah, so...
He'll be back.
Out for about a month or so, but nonetheless disappointing for him. And the other loser, I'm going to give it to a bit of a political one, the BBC. I don't think they came out of this whole Gary Lineker situation overly well.
It's an amazing story, isn't it?
Yeah.
The reason he got sacked, basically, for tweeting about refugee policy in Britain. And they said, you're a BBC journalist, you're meant to be impartial. And he said, well, I'm a soccer commentator. Say whatever the hell I want. And there's huge public backlash against the BBC, so they've rehired him.
And basically a mutiny from all the BBC staff who walked out with him and said, we're not going to work either. So it was, and I think now, I saw some tweets from him overnight, he's going to be back working.
Match of the day.
Yeah, for the last 30 years he's done it, and he's going to be back. So, extraordinary turn of events.
I was just trying to think of any equivalent, because the ABC doesn't exclusively carry sport.
Oh, no, I think the difference between Australia and England is that the ABC just demonstrably does not care about how biased some of its personality sounds, whereas the BBC does.
I'm just trying to think what ABC exclusives, well, not exclusive, but ABC-centric sport.
The best sporting equivalent for the types of views Gary Lineker's putting is Ian Chappell. Ian Chappell is a massive advocate for better treatment for asylum seekers.
Yes, he is.
Huge critic of the Howard government over border protection.
Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, mate.
10-year warranty, 10-year cap price servicing, Agostino, Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Honey, how far away is that barbecue?
Mission update, time is 1300 hours. 4 burners are now operational. Sausages are commencing their final turn. Beer fridge is sitting at 3 degrees. Manual temperature verification. Perfect. Estimated time of food delivery, 6 minutes, 30 seconds.
Okay.
If you take your role as Backyard Hospitality Director seriously, make sure your cuisine cockpit is A-OK with Adelaide Outdoor Kitchens. Outdoor appliances, custom concrete benchtops and basins, barbecues and custom furniture. AdelaideOutdoorKitchens.com.au.
We open our doors to people we trust and care about. And for over 85 years, South Australians have been opening their doors to Rest Haven. In turn, we've been opening doors to an easier, better life at home. From personal care To help with the shopping and social outings, you'll welcome the care that Resthaven brings.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny and 27 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Gliderroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
Details of one of Australia's largest defence projects since World War II will be announced later this morning. Anthony Albanese's in San Diego to discuss the next phase of the AUKUS alliance with his American and British counterparts. It's expected Australia will buy nuclear-powered subs from the US to fill a capability gap until we can build our own, most likely here in Adelaide. Former Independent Senator and Submariner Rex Patrick says they're useful technology, but less agile than a conventional sub.
Not everything is great about a nuclear-powered submarine. It's like the idea that you're buying a Ferrari. It's a really good car until such time as you need to go off-road or you need to take the family shopping.
Fire cause investigators have examined the scene of a house fire at Ferryden Park last night. Rachel Kinlock from the MFS says it broke out in a two-storey duplex on Sutherland Road.
The fire's cause is considered accidental due to lithium batteries igniting. The damage bill is set between $150,000 to $200,000.
The residents weren't home at the time and no one was injured. And there was another house fire on Mario Drive at Paralawi last night. It broke out in the garage, causing $50,000 damage. The three occupants and their pet dog were able to flee unharmed. The fire was contained to the garage and the cause is unclear. South Australian jockey Jamie Carr's now awake and communicating with her family after an horrific race fall at Flemington on Saturday. Meantime, a big crowd turned out at Morfettville yesterday to see Rebel Racer win the Adelaide Cup ahead of Aurora Symphony. US President Joe Biden has sought to reassure Americans over the country's banking system after two banks collapsed. More from US correspondent Alison Petrovsky.
President Biden insisted emergency measures would not be paid for by taxpayers as additional American banks come under stress.
Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe.
US regulators were forced to step in with a series of emergency measures after Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank collapsed over the weekend. Trading was temporarily halted in dozens of regional US banks this morning as shares fell by up to 75% when Wall Street opened, as investors worry about a broader financial crisis.
It's hoped changing up your diet and fitness could reduce the risk of dementia. Researchers at Macquarie University are trialling a program combining a special meal plan with regular brain training exercises to prove a lifestyle change can protect older brains from degenerative conditions. Edith Cowan University Professor Dr. Ralph Martin says the method's gaining increasing attention and the evidence is stacking up.
We've been shown that, for example, diet can play a big role in reducing the risk of Alzheimer's disease. And this was a major study we've done in Australia. And we showed that people who adhered to the Mediterranean diet had a reduced level of amyloid building up in their brains.
And Basketball Victoria's confirmed it has received an application for a transgender woman to play in the semi-professional women's NBL 1 South League. The sporting body says the athlete's in the final stages of eligibility and no decision has yet been made. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Australia and India are both now turning their attention to the World Test Championship final after a fairly dull draw finished the series in Ahmedabad. South Aussie Travis Head hit a final day 90 as India wrapped up the series 2-1. Stand-in skipper Steve Smith says the match to be played at the Oval in June will offer something for both sides.
Wicket there can take some spin at times, particularly as the game wears on. It could be interesting in terms of what sort of wicket we get. You know, it's a great place to play cricket. There's usually reasonable bounce and pace for an English wicket. It's probably as close as you get to Australia.
Meantime, South Australia will be in Sheffield Shield action later today when it takes on New South Wales in its final match of the season. To football, Carlton coach Michael Voss expects Sam Walsh to be back fully training in the coming weeks as he ramps up his recovery from back surgery.
I think the next milestone he needs to get to is to train fully.
So we're hoping he steps into that in the next few weeks.
Audio there thanks to Fox Footy. The Blues take on Richmond on Thursday night to kick off the season, while Port Adelaide will be in action at Adelaide Oval against Brisbane on Saturday, and the Crows will play the following day against GWS. Well, connections for Rebel Racer are still celebrating following yesterday's Adelaide Cup win. The result a dream for husband and wife trainers Amy and Ash Yagi. And 4 Aussies, including Championship leader Molly Picklum, have reached the women's quarterfinals of the World Surf Tour event in Portugal. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, mostly sunny and 27 today, more of the same tomorrow, 29, Thursday 27 and warmer for Friday, 34. Right now 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes to 7. We're about 30 minutes away from the AUKUS announcement being made in San Diego in the United States with the US President, the British Prime Minister and the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. But journalists have just left a briefing with some pre-announcement details that they can start working on stories with, headlined, I think, by a cost estimate of the entire nuclear submarine deal over the course of its life. $368 billion. $368 billion. I think when we officially hear the announcement and our politicians talk about it, you won't hear that figure. I'm imagining the one they'll prefer to use is 0.15% of GDP per year over the life of the deal. 0.15% of the GDP of the country over the life of the deal.
Which is how much money Australia has to spend. Is that right? GDP, gross domestic product?
That's the sum of everything we produce.
Right, so that's all exports, the lot.
That's the whole lot. That's what
Everything.
we do.
It's how much Australia's worth.
Yeah, that's it. That's when we talk about ranking the size of economies, generally GDP is the measure used. We're about the 14th biggest in the world by that measure. So the announcement state by state, Sky, I've got some details on that for South Australia. $6 billion spent over the Ford estimate. So that's over the course of the next couple of years. So this happens whilst we don't get a sub built in Australia for a long time. The process actually starts really soon. Work begins at Osborne this year, according to
that's good news.
This announcement.
That's really good news. Because the big fear that the state government had last week was, when are they starting? Because what Peter Malinowski said to me last week was, and he said this publicly, so it's not any off-the-record briefing stuff, he said, the history of submarine construction around the world is once you start building subs, you never stop. Because the cost of setting it up, it's such a unique set of skills. So the big fear was that we wouldn't actually start building subs or getting ready to build subs here for another 5 or 10 years, which would mean, to use the tightest old cliche in all of this discussion, the valley of death. The valley of death being the lag time between doing something and then not doing something and then doing something again. Valley of death is the period of 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, whatever, when nothing's really going on. So we look like we do not have a valley of death.
So work beginning Osborne this year, 4,000 jobs to build I think the shipyard itself at Osborne, then 4,000 to 5,500 jobs at the shipyard to construct the submarine. So there's 4,000 jobs in the building, the construction phase.
So that's just the start.
That's just to get.
That's just to build it. So
yeah, this is the thing that people don't. I think people are underestimating.
4,000 South Australians within the next 12 months are going to be looking for jobs down at Osborne.
Not sure of the timeline, but that yes, theoretically, if they're starting this year, they'll need those jobs as soon as humanly possible.
That's wild.
It is absolutely wild. There'll be more details on some of the defence elements of this with regard to when US subs get transferred and so on and so forth. But what we're going to do throughout the morning is obviously focus on the impact here in South Australia.
If you, like me, are having trouble conceptualising what $368 billion looks like, it's 7,360 million slabs of Cooper's Pale Ale.
Oh, that's much easier. I mean, I can picture it perfectly.
Or lots of Olympic pools.
Rob on the Duttons text line says, what was the last time a government estimate came in or under budget, please, guys? Good point, Rob. 360, so we know what the minimum is.
Well, isn't the minimum 240 billion, I mean? Aren't they saying 240 billion to 368 billion?
Yeah.
That's the outside one. 368 billion. I mean, if you apply the Royal Adelaide Hospital test to this, it's pretty scary, isn't it?
Oh, your women's and children's. I think this just keeps going up and up. The official announcement in about 25 minutes, we believe, so we'll bring that to you then. Want to know from anyone who's among our listeners, has anyone seen Everything, Everywhere, All at Once? The film absolutely romped it in the Oscars yesterday. I haven't seen it.
I don't know anyone who's seen it. I don't know anyone who's even heard of it.
It won Best Picture, Best Actor and Actress in a Supporting Role, Best Original Screenplay, Best Actress in a Leading Role, Best Director, Best Film Editing. It could have won more, but I ran out of time scrolling down during the news break. This thing has just absolutely swept it, and like you, I don't know anyone who's seen it. If you've seen it, we want someone to come on and give us a Lucy Loken-esque review. 82230000.
Is it even on
or
in the
text
cinemas?
on the Dutton's text line.
My daughter saw Cocaine Bear on the weekend. Raved about it.
Didn't feature, but that might be just a calendar thing. Maybe it'll be in next year's Oscars.
That sounds like the dumbest film ever made.
Films don't all have to be provoke thought pieces, think pieces.
You don't need to convince me of that.
Here is a little bit of the trailer of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I'm not your husband. I'm another version of him from another universe. I'm here because we need your help.
Very busy today. No time to help you.
Across the multiverse, I've seen thousands of Evelyns. You can access all of their memories, their emotions, even their skills. There's a great evil spreading throughout the many verses. And you may be our only chance of stopping it.
Don't make me fight you. I am really good.
I don't believe you.
That trailer proves my working theory that over the course of history, we're going to focus on this 5-year period from 2018 to 2023 as the one where suddenly every film featured the word multiverse. And was everyone really obsessed with it?
What is a multiverse?
Well, I think it's one of these sort of theoretical physicists have a lot to answer for. There's this idea there's multiple universes.
Is this like in the Matrix sort of thing?
The Matrix.
Matrix, sorry. Walked out of
No, the Matrix is not a multiverse theory.
What about Manny at the fruit shop? He's just texted. He's saying he's seen that movie that we're talking about.
Oh, what does he think?
I was texting back. Give us a review.
All right, excellent. This was an awkward moment at the Oscars. This is the host of the Oscars, Jimmy Kimmel, speaking with the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize laureate, Malala Yousafzai.
Great to have you here, and congratulations on your movie. This question is from Joanne Nicolaitis in Brooklyn, New York. She asks, your work on human rights and education for women and children is an inspiration. As the youngest Nobel Prize winner in history, I was wondering, do you think Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine?
I only talk about peace.
You know what? That's why you're Malala and nobody else is.
Yeah, Malala might recall. Yeah, that went over well. Back in about a decade ago, in 2012, just over a decade ago, was shot by a Taliban gunman. She was an activist for female women's rights and continues to do that work. Better at human rights than being comic foil, I think, is the takeout from that. There was a nice touching moment too. John Travolta with a tribute to Olivia Newton-John.
Each of them left an individual and indelible mark that shared and informed us. They've touched our hearts. They've made us smile and became dear friends, who we will always remain hopelessly devoted to.
That was really moving. Poor bloke. They were very close, obviously. Hey, just been texting Phil Curry. He's in the lockup for us, and mainly for the Australian Financial Review, by whom he's employed. But Phil is full bottle on the sub stuff, and we're going to do a very special breaking at 8 this morning where we cross live to Canberra.
Oh, excellent.
To get all the latest from our man Phil Curry, Peterborough's own Phil Curry, what it means for South Australia, the best SA skewed analysis of AUKUS only on the 5AA Breakfast Show.
15 minutes to 7. I'm going to check traffic and come back with police and weather in just a moment.
Thanks, Will, and good morning. Roads are nice and quiet as we head into a Tuesday today. Short working week, I'd love that. Few roadworks to look out for. You find them at Elizabeth North today. Speeds at 60, Main North Road near Womble Road. Got lane closed at Monopara today. Main North Road near Curtis Road. Speeds down to 40 k's with cameras in the drive-in. Horsey Road, Elizabeth East, and Port Wakefield Road at Waterloo Corner. Want free delivery? Shop amazon.com.au. That's right. Eligible orders over $39 receive free delivery at amazon.com.au. Easy as. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Summer might be over, but with Mad March upon us, now's the perfect time to get into your local Vinnie shop and pick up a bargain. You'll save 40% off all clothing and shoes at all Vinnie's SA shops. Choose from a range of affordable pre-loved clothing, including top name brands. And remember, shopping at Vinnie's is good for our environment, good for you, and good for our community. Find something unique at a Vinnie shop near you.
Hey, you in the car. If your next service is due, just remember that Mawson Lakes Mazda has your back. We'll take care of you with next day servicing, complimentary loan car, vacuum and wash, and your breakfast or lunch is on us. Your car gets the love too, with our state-of-the-art service centre brimming with top-trained mechanics. At Mawson Lakes Mazda, we'll look after your car and look after you. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Stanford Mowers have been helping South Aussies take care of their patch for years and years. So if gardening's your passion, you're a gardener by trade, or maybe you take it a bit more seriously and you've got your own farm, Stanford Mowers know that you want the best range and the best brands of mowers, trimmers, blowers and so much more. Now, Ben, Archie and the team, I've been out there and seen them a couple of times. They're true specialists. They don't have a warehouse full of other stuff to sell. It's one of those great places you walk in and you know that everything they sell is good. Just mowers and the best garden power tools available, including the powerful Ego battery range. So do what I do, go see Ben and Archie and their fantastic team at 590 Main North Road, Jeps Cross, or check out their website, stanfordmowers.com.au.
How does a life in Henley Beach sound? Just imagine sitting by your pool on a hot summer's day with friends and family and not a worry in the world. With $250,000 in your bank, this could be your reality if you win the $3.5 million Scott Salisbury Homes grand prize in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. To see full lottery details and get your tickets, visit homelottery.com.au. Licence M14311.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Straight from London's West End, the Choir of Man are bringing the ultimate happy hour back to Gluttony. Book now via Adelaide Fringe.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
12 minutes to 7. Some pictures surfacing of Joe Biden, Anthony Albanese and Rishi Sunak gather around what looks like a sort of a card table in the corner of the Wayville Showgrounds. It's a pretty underwhelming backdrop, I've got to say.
I think they're about to do Follow the Yellow Brick Road. They're going to start in the corner of the Goiter Pavilion and get a free apple, and then they're going to proceed.
It honestly looks like they're hosting a stall at the sort of caravan camping expo. Rather than announcing a nearly $400 billion submarine deal. But I guess they're at the San Diego shipyards, aren't they? So it's sort of not designed for fanfare. It's designed for building ships and refitting them and maintenance and so forth.
Utilitarian.
Yes. Well, I hope that's the explanation because it doesn't looks like all the money's really gone into the subs, I'll put it that way. Let's check in with the weather here in Adelaide for the rest of the week. Hannah Marsh, Senior Forecaster at the Bureau, joins us. Morning to you, Hannah.
Good morning, David and Will.
Beautiful looking week, Hannah, particularly later in the week. Going to be beach weather.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see the temperatures climb a little bit further, but today will be pretty similar to yesterday, around the 27 degree mark in the city. We're looking at temperatures getting up to 25 degrees at Glenelg and 28 degrees at Elizabeth. And the minimums overnight have ranged between 10.2 at Nooryilpa to 15.5 at Noarlunga. We're currently sitting on our low of 12.5 in the city. as I mentioned, heading towards 27 degrees. A little bit warmer tomorrow. We're looking at a mostly sunny 29 degrees. Then we have a weak trough that'll just clip the southeast, but it'll drop the temperature slightly on Thursday, looking at cloud clearing and 27 degrees. But another warm one on Friday, mostly sunny 34 degrees, before we have another system come through and drop the temperature back down to 27 degrees and partly cloudy for the weekend.
Lovely stuff.
Good on you,
Hannah.
Hannah. Thank you. Hannah Marsh, senior forecaster at the Bureau. We're looking for someone who's seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, the film that absolutely swept everything at the Oscars, but seems a precious few have seen. Among those that have, though, Maddie Portferrell, one of our excellent Port fan listeners, who says the movie's excellent and quite original rather than the usual Oscar bait claptrap full of melodrama designed to win awards.
Maddie texted back saying he gives it close to 5 stars. He thought it was really good too.
Some terrific reviews coming through. All right, let's head to St. Paul. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan is on the line. Jen, a Molotov cocktail was used at Paravista.
Yes, that's right. Good morning. And this was just after 3 o'clock this morning. Police were called to a home on Nelson Road after reports of a Molotov cocktail being thrown at the property. Now, luckily, the fire didn't take hold and the occupant was able to extinguish the fire, and there's been no damage to the home or injury to the occupant. So crime scene investigators have attended, and we're asking if anybody saw any suspicious activity in the street or has any information, please call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
And Jen, today's drunken idiot du jour comes to us from Kadina.
It does, and again, you're not going to believe what this one, disappointing, especially coming off the road safety operation this week. It happened about 10:45 last night. Police attended a single vehicle crash between a Hyundai station wagon and a rock on Lipson Avenue at Kadina. A rock. Yeah, and the driver, who's a 64-year-old woman from Kadina, submitted to a breath test where she returned a positive result of 0.68. Now, I know you're doing your maths, but that's 5 times over the legal limit.
That's like like at least 10 drinks.
Oh,
would have to be.
No, I think it's significantly
particularly for a
more than
woman.
that.
A significant amount of drinks.
Yeah, no, that's heaps.
Over a period of time, yeah.
That's probably
so
like
she's obviously
15,
lost
20.
her licence. Yeah.
What sort of rock did she hit?
A big one. A big,
Well, like
a big rock
not a LaRue, but something.
Stopped the car.
Wow.
She's lucky
Well,
she's not
glad
dead.
it was a rock and not a
more
person.
importantly, she's
Yeah,
like she
look,
didn't
I
kill
don't know how you
someone
could
else.
walk out of that car at that level of intoxication, really.
Unbelievable.
So-
Extraordinary. Thank you, Jen. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan from
He's
St. Paul.
insane.
It really is.
0.6.
If you want an interesting counterpoint to the dominant conversation of the day, which is obviously the nearly $400 billion nuclear submarine program, you might want to tune into Insight tonight on SBS at 8:30, at 8 o'clock Adelaide time. The episode is about housing, about living stresses and the cost of living, featuring an Adelaide resident by the name of Martin McClory, whose rent went up recently $100 per week. He was told, look, if you can't pay it, you need to go. Now, Martin's also waiting for a kidney transplant, so he can't work. He's on dialysis 3 times a week. Martin McClory joins us now on 5AA Breakfast. Martin, good morning to you.
Are you there on the line, Martin? I don't know if we've got Martin there.
No, it doesn't seem to be getting through.
Insight is such a good show. We watch that most weeks, and Jenny Brocky was obviously the host for a very long time, and now she's passed on the baton to. I don't actually know the name of the young woman who hosts it, but she always does a terrific job. But it's one of those programs where people just sort of first person testimony of, you know, different issues that are affecting people's lives. But because it goes for the full hour, it gets much deeper than the usual, you know, talking head type person who pops up for 30 seconds in a news report.
I think we've got Martin now. Martin, we're just telling some of the details of your story, and a situation that sounds like an impossible situation, mate.
Good morning. Yeah, it's not great. As you said, they tried to put my rent up by $100 per week, which obviously not being able to work was, I couldn't manage that at all.
So did you have any way around it, Martin? Like, could you appeal, or did you?
Yes, I had to appeal, and when I went to appeal, during the appeal process, they then withdrew the the rent increase, if you know what I mean.
Oh, so they backed down on it in the end?
Yes.
You're lucky you appealed, though. I mean, I guess they sort of play in the averages. A lot of people would just cop it sweet, wouldn't they?
Well, that's what they basically... I got in touch with Rent Right SA, and that's what they basically said. A lot of people just sort of accept it, which I couldn't afford it, so I couldn't.
Can I ask you, mate, without wanting to pry, what were you paying before the 100... or before they tried to put it up? What was your rent in the first place?
So it was already $455 a week, so they were trying to put it up to $550 a week.
Well, see, the reason I asked was to get a sense of what it is as a percentage, because, I mean, we all know inflation's high, but it's not that high. It's not like 25% in terms of what they were trying to hit you with.
Well, I think since I've moved in the 2 years that I've been here, if they put it up to 550, it was a 40% rent increase since I've been here.
Wow. How did you find the experience of going on Insight, Martin? And were there, I guess, you know, there would have been a lot of other people from right around Australia with similar stories to yours.
Yeah, it was an eye-opener a bit. So I knew there was a bit of a rental crisis, but I didn't know it was that bad, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's full on. And how are you going with your wait for a kidney, mate?
Oh, well, that's another story. Like, because of COVID, the waiting list before COVID was 3.5 years. But because of COVID, everything's been put back, so it's now up to 5.5 years, which is frustrating because I've just hit the 3.5 year mark. So if COVID hadn't happened, I would be getting a kidney run about now.
Yeah, right. Jeez. Well, mate, good luck with it all. It's a pretty full-on tale, but at least you had a victory on the rent front. And I guess the lesson there for anyone listening who finds themselves in a similar situation is don't just shrug your shoulders. Maybe, you know, fight back like you did.
Yeah, but it still doesn't help me because in 10 days my lease is up. So, like, in 10 days, technically I'm going to be homeless.
Oh, crikey. Oh, mate, well, good luck, you know, with your search, because it's a difficult time. And if anyone is listening who knows of any properties that are coming up and they can help Martin out, give us a buzz, because we might be able to put them in touch. Good on you, Martin. Martin McClory from Adelaide is going to be on SBS Insight tonight.
If you want to tune in, SBS and SBS On Demand. 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us too on the Duttons text line. 5AA News is coming up, and on the other side of it, we're going to be taking you to San Diego for the announcement of the AUKUS arrangement.
San Diego.
San Diego.
The origins of the name are lost to time. No, I'm pretty sure it means Saint Diego. No, it doesn't.
Spinal Tap?
No, Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy, right.
When he's out on the date with, what's her name? Olivia? Is it Olivia Silverstone?
Yeah.
He's trying to impress her.
Veronica. Corningstone. Corningstone.
Yeah, whatever. There's another Blakey sketch.
2 minutes to 7. 5AA News is coming up. We're off to San Diego next.
Who can fix the shower?
Service today.
Who can fix the power?
Service today.
Yes, we can, is what we say.
Service today.
Every time you see our bright yellow trucks in your area, we're helping out your neighbours. We can help you too. So for the best plumbing, electrical, heating and cooling work, call Service Today 24/7. Can you fix the shower?
Yes, we can.
Can you fix the power?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can, is what we say.
Service today.
Call 1300 Service.
At Harvey Norman, get 60 months interest-free. No deposit finance from Latitude Financial Services and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. That's a bonus $100 gift card for every $1,000 you spend on interest-free purchases. Shop our huge range. Everything you need for your home and lifestyle with 60 months interest-free. No deposit, no interest with 60 monthly repayments and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. Available on participating Latitude credit cards. New customers must apply and be approved. Minimum finance amount $1,000. T's and C's, fees, charges and product exclusions apply.
Calvary SA's recently expanded breast and endocrine service is here when you need it, with immediate appointments available. Our focus is on patient care and helping you through your entire journey. Our expert team will guide you through every step, and with service providers all on site, you can rest assured that you're in good hands. If you have breast concerns, speak to your GP about a referral to Calvary SA Breast and Endocrine Service, North Adelaide and Elizabeth Vale.
Do you want to improve your memory, concentration and learning ability? There's a one-a-day formula called Caruso's Mega Memory, which contains the herbs Brahmi and Ginkgo biloba. Brahmi improves memory, learning and supports mental concentration and clarity. Ginkgo supports healthy blood circulation, brain function and brain performance. Caruso's Mega Memory is made in Australia and comes with a 100% money-back guarantee. Try Caruso's Mega Memory, available from leading health stores and pharmacies. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
Celebrate Princess's 3 for Free sale with Phil Hoffman Travel. Sail to incredible destinations, including Australia, New Zealand, South Pacific, Japan, the Mediterranean and Northern Europe. Get up to 30% off launch fares, free stateroom upgrades and specialty dining for 2, half-price deposits and double on-board spending money, up to $700 per cabin. Hurry, 7-day offer ends March 16. Contact Phil Hoffman Travel today or visit pht.com.au. T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny and 27 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brattig.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
Australia will buy up to 5 American-made nuclear-powered submarines as part of the next phase of the AUKUS alliance. Here's Zach De Silva.
It's the biggest investment our nation has ever made in its defence capability. The US plans to sell us 5 Virginia-class submarines. At the same time, billions of dollars will be invested in South Australia's Osborne shipyard. There, we'll begin building our own nuclear-powered submarines based on a British design, expected to be ready by the mid-2040s. It's a major plan with a major price tag to match. Over the next decade, it's expected to cost up to $58 billion.
A Molotov cocktail has been thrown at a home in Para Vista. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says they were called to Nelson Road just after 3.
Luckily, the fire didn't take hold and the occupant was able to extinguish the fire, and there's been no damage to the home or injury to the occupant. So crime scene investigators have attended, and we're asking if anybody saw any suspicious activity in the street or has any information, please call Crime Stoppers.
While Fire Corps investigators have determined a blaze at a home on Sutherland Road at Ferryden Park last night was sparked by lithium batteries. It's left a damage bill of over $150,000. And there was another house fire on Mario Drive at Paralawi. It broke out in the garage, leaving a damage bill of $50,000. South Australian jockey Jamie Carr has been cleared of a serious brain injury after an horrific fall at Flemington on Saturday. She's now awake and communicating with her family after being heavily sedated for several days. And thousands turned out to see Rebel Racer win the Adelaide Cup at Morfettville yesterday. Ridden by Craig Newitt, the horse held off Aurora Symphony to win.
Rebel Racer won't surrender. Aurora Symphony tries to get him. Aurora Symphony and Rebel Racer. What a thrilling contest. Rebel Racer off the canvas to win the Adelaide Cup.
And that call thanks to racing.com. Regulators in the US and Europe are working to reassure customers their money is safe after the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. It's the biggest US bank failure in 15 years. The British bank HSBC's agreed to buy the UK arm of the firm for just over $1. Britain's Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt says it shows the strength of the country's economy.
No taxpayers' money has been used, and I think it's a result of a lot of hard work. But I also think it shows that the UK has great resilience in its financial system, that we're able to step in with one of our biggest UK banks in a situation like this and protect a very important sector.
And the debate about the inclusion of transgender athletes in sport has been reignited this morning amid revelations that transgender athletes applied to play in a basketball league in Victoria. Christina Hearn has details.
Basketball Victoria has confirmed a transgender athlete has applied to play in the NBL 1 South League, a semi-professional competition. The decision is expected to be rubber-stamped in the next few days. The sporting body says the athlete has submitted to medical and physical testing, and the application was assessed by a panel which included basketball and medical experts. Former NBA champion Andrew Bogut has made his feelings clear, tweeting yesterday, "Are you okay with sacrificing the sanctity of female sport in the name of inclusion?" According to Bogut, the player is from the Kilsyth Cobras.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with footy. Adelaide's players will hit the training track at Westlakes this morning at 9:30 as they prepare for Sunday's season opener against GWS. The Power will also train this morning as they also get ready for round one against Brisbane at home on Saturday. The season kicks off on Thursday night with Richmond taking on Carlton, and Tigers coach Damien Hardwick says Trent Cotchin will be a wild card of sorts this year. The veteran midfielder will spend more time up forward this season. Hardwick telling Fox Footy the 32-year-old will play where he's needed.
He'll play some midfield, he'll also play some forward. The thing about Trent, what he does, he's a great contested ball player, but what he's got incredible craft up forward, funnily enough, as well.
The fourth test between Australia and India has finished in a draw in Ahmedabad, meaning the home side won the series 2-1. South Aussie Travis Head made 90 in the second innings as the Aussies finished at 2 for 175 when the game was called off late on day 5. Well, Australian golfer Minwoo Lee is determined to learn from his final round disaster at the Players' Championship in Florida. Lee held a share of the lead early in the final round before a horror finish that saw him finish 9 shots behind eventual winner Scotty Scheffler. Lee says he's keeping his head held high.
I've been in final groups quite a lot lately, and to be on the PJ Tour and one of the biggest PJ Tour tournaments, it's awesome. If I just keep putting myself in those positions, hopefully I can get a Sunday done.
Yeah, he'll win one soon, no doubt. And Australia is through to the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic for the first time. That's after defeating the Czech Republic 8-3. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Worried about cheap insurance? Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS and TMD at amy.com.au and consider whether it's right for you.
Good morning. Roads working well for the drive-in today on a short working week. Gotta love that. Got some activity happening at Elizabeth North to look out for. Main North Road near Wommer Road, speeds at 60. Lane out of action at Fruiville this morning. Glen Osmond Road near Fullerton Road, speeds at 40. Getting busy South Road at Mile End with cameras today. Torrens Road, Ridleyton and Washington Drive at Craigmore. South Australia, the Murray River is calling. Help revive our river communities after the floods. Be part of the revival. Visit southaustralia.com/river revival. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
To the weather, mostly sunny and 27 today. More of the same tomorrow, 29. Thursday, 27. And warmer for Friday, 34. At the moment, 12. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Go on, just walk away.
Seven after 7. Good morning to you for joining us for the first time on this Tuesday, the 14th of March. 14th of March being 5AA's birthday. It's a happy 47th birthday to 5AA. On this day, 1976, the 4th commercial radio station in Adelaide. The licence, the station was open. The licence had been previously granted. Our resident stats man Ben Jordan's tweeted a picture of the plaque that was on the building. It's now sitting out in the office, I think, somewhere. That is the commemorate the plaque that was on the side of the building that says the Adelaide's 4th commercial radio station. It's to commemorate the opening by the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Don Dunstan. The first 12 hours of transmission on this day was sponsored by Coca-Cola, Amscol, United Motors. There's a host of really familiar names. Lloyd's Australia, Avis Rent-A-Car System.
As in the hardware store.
Yeah, Lloyd's.
One that burnt down on
Amalgamated
South Road.
Wireless Limited.
Viscount Manufacturing.
Viscount Manufacturing. Bank of Adelaide. There's a whole heap there. You can check it out on Ben Jordan's Twitter page, or indeed we've just retweeted the David and Will.
Chrysler for one of the sponsors as well.
Chrysler as well.
Donnie Dunstan turned up in his safari suit. God rest his soul.
Chrysler's probably an interesting launching point for what's going to be the big breaking news of the next 10 minutes. Chrysler, of course, the auto manufacturer. We've been long time promised in this town something that would come up and replace car manufacturing. Well, maybe today is the day that that is entirely realised, because in the next 6 minutes we're expecting a press conference featuring the President of the United States, the Prime Minister of Great Britain and the Prime Minister of Australia to kick off, to announce the details of the AUKUS arrangement. This is a deal that we're now getting some data through on, some specifics, because of the fact there's been a pre-announcement lockup that journalists were able to go to start writing stories about it, featuring some new detail like this, that the high level investment, if there's a range that's been determined, but the high point of that is $368 billion to deliver the nuclear submarine program that will feature not just the construction of 8 boats here in Adelaide, but the purchase of 3 from the United States and upgrades to the current Collins-class fleet as well, the life of type extensions that will take place. The first boat will start being built this decade and be delivered by the UK in the late 2030s. The first Australian-built one in South Australia will go into service in the early 2040s. The big statistic, and again, we want to acknowledge that this is an announcement that has huge national significance today because of what it signifies in terms of Australia's self-determination and our capacity to defend ourselves, and launching us into the field of just 6 countries in the world that operate nuclear submarines. But also, it's an industry story in South Australia. It's an employment and economic story here in South Australia. And on that front, the early details are really significant. The construction of a new nuclear submarine shipyard will start this year, supporting up to 4,000 jobs at the peak, according to News Limited's reporting. A further 4,000 to 5,000 jobs will be supported at the peak of the submarine construction program in 20 to 30 years. That's almost double what the forecast was for the French attack class submarine scheme. So there's some of the specifics that we've got coming out. Significantly, this doesn't start in 20 years in South Australia. It starts this year.
It's starting right now.
It starts now.
While Will has been wading through all of that excellent detail, I thought I'd go straight to the top, and I pinged a text to the Premier, Peter Malinauskas, simply asking, "This looks good, yeah?" To which he replied, "Beyond good." Now, the two things, because my reading of it was, well, what does it all mean for jobs? And this was why at the start of today's show I was saying, well, when is Osborne starting? What's it going to mean for the maintenance of the existing subs? Are we going to be sitting here twiddling our thumbs waiting for something to happen in 10 years' time? The 2 points that the Premier has made so far from what he has seen, and he's been privy to all of this as it's been unfolding too, the life of type extension, it's good news on the Collins class because it means we're going to have to keep working on that.
Continuation of work.
And the fact that over the next 4 years, there's $2 billion straight up for infrastructure at Osborne, which is going to support those 4,000 jobs.
Hard to walk back from that investment term. We're all sceptics when it comes to, can this survive X number of change of governments over the course of the next decade and so forth. Once you've built a facility that is designed to build and maintain nuclear submarines, I mean, it doesn't do anything else. You can't turn it to making surgical masks if that's required one day. So you kind of pot committed at some point in time.
Love to hear from our listeners who are working in defence. I know that you're generally hands are tied as to what you can and cannot say, but, you know, I was out with a bunch of mates on Sunday, 2 of whom work in defence industries, and you know, it's been one of those things, there's been so much uncertainty over the last 10 years. It's finally good to have some clarity coming from, you know, 2 of the most powerful countries on earth.
All the analysis will come up later on the program. Simon Birmingham is going to be on the show. Penny Wong will be on the show. We're going to cross to Phil Curry in Canberra as well. What we might do now is take a break, because everyone at the press conference in San Diego at the naval base there is they're ready at the moment, looking 3 empty podiums. We might take a break, and when we come back, we might be heading live to San Diego. Let's check traffic.
Good morning. Roads working well as we get back into a short working week, which is always good. Speeds reduced for some works at FIVEAA today. Got lane closed there too. Glen Osmond Road near Fullerton Road. Also got a lane out of action at Munopara, Main North Road near Curtis Road. Speeds at 40. Busy at the moment. South Road at Mile End with cameras today. Tapley's Hill Road, Glenelg North, and Stephen Heath Road at Davra Park. Order the new Samsung Galaxy S23 series at Telstra and get bonus credit when you trade in an eligible phone. Ends March 20. Trade in by Kingfisher. Eligible service required. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
A Melbourne judge is under fire for asking a breastfeeding mum and her child to leave his courtroom. The country court judge told the woman, "Madam, you will not be permitted to breastfeed a baby in court." He was concerned it would be a distraction to the jury.
Weekday mornings from 9.
You'd think those sorts of attitudes now are so long ago.
On 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Let's go live to San Diego. US President Joe Biden flanked to his right by Anthony Albanese and his left, Rishi Sunak.
They're playing the music. We can just see through the standing.
No, that's still Channel 9 in the build-up there. You can hear Hail to the Chief
That's
is
the,
playing in the background. There it is by David Penberthy, and here is Joe Biden.
Let's take it.
Here he is.
Have a seat. Please take it. It's an honor to be here to welcome Prime Minister Albanese and Prime Minister Sunak. And it's my honor to welcome you both to the United States as we take the next critical step in advancing the Australia-US-UK partnership, AUKUS. It's an unusual name, AUKUS, but it's a powerful entity. You know, when our countries first announced AUKUS 18 months ago, I'm not at all sure that anyone believed that how much progress we'd be able to make together and how quickly we'd accomplish it. And I want to thank the members of all of our teams who helped bring us to this pivotal moment sitting in front of us. Thank you all very much. Secretary Austin, Secretary of the Navy Del Toro, thanks for letting us come to your house. Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Gilday, where are you, Admiral? There you are. And thank you for hosting us at the Naval Base of Point Loma. And I also want to thank Representative Joe Courtney, founder of the Bipartisan AUKUS Working Group, and all the members of the Congress who are here today. Thank you for being here. You are a testament to the strong and deep support for this partnership across the United States. Australia and the United Kingdom are two of America's most stalwart and capable allies. Our common values, our shared vision, a more peaceful and prosperous future, unite us all across the Atlantic and Pacific. For more than a century, we've stood together to defend freedom and strengthen democracy, and to spur greater opportunity in all our countries. I've always said, when asked, the United States is a Pacific power, because we're on the Pacific Ocean. We are a Pacific power. The United States has safeguarded stability in the Indo-Pacific for decades through the enormous benefits of nations throughout the region, from ASEAN to Pacific Islanders to the People's Republic of China. In fact, our leadership in the Pacific has been the benefit to the entire world. We've kept the sea lanes and skies open and navigable for all. We've upheld basic rules of the road that fueled international commerce. And our partnerships have helped underwrite incredible growth and innovation. So today, as we stand at the inflection point in history, where the hard work of enhancing deterrence and promoting stability is going to affect the prospect of peace for decades to come, the United States can ask for no better partners in the Indo-Pacific, where so much of our shared future will be written. Forging this new partnership, we're showing again how democracies can deliver our own security and prosperity, and not just for us, but for the entire world. Today, we're announcing the steps to carry out our first project under AUKUS, and developing Australia's conventionally armed nuclear-powered submarine capacity. And I want to be clear to everyone from the outset, right off the bat, so there's no confusion or misunderstanding on this critical point. These subs are powered, not nuclear-armed subs. They're nuclear-powered, not nuclear-armed. Australia is a proud non-nuclear weapon state and is committed to stay that way. These boats will not have any nuclear weapons of any kind on them. Each of us standing here today, representing the United States, Australia, and Great Britain, is deeply committed to strengthening the nuclear non-proliferation regime. We've undertaken this project working hand in glove with the International Atomic Energy Agency and with Director General Grossi. Australia will not produce nuclear fuel needed for these submarines. We have set the highest standards with the IAEA for verification and transparency, and we will honor each of our country's international obligations. Working together these past 18 months, we've developed a phased approach that's going to make sure Australian sailors are fully trained and prepared to safely operate this fleet so they can deliver this critical new capacity on the fastest possible timetable. Each of our nations is making concrete commitments to one another. We're backing it up with significant investments to strengthen the industrial bases in each of our countries in order to build and support these boats. By the way, this partnership is going to mean an awful lot for good-paying jobs for all workers in our countries, including a lot of union jobs. There's a reason why not everyone has nuclear-powered submarines. Nuclear propulsion is a highly complicated technology that requires years of training to master. So we're starting right away. Beginning this year, Australian personnel will embed with U.S. and U.K. crews on boats and at bases in our schools and our shipyards. We'll also begin to increase our port visits to Australia. In fact, as we speak, the nuclear-powered sub USS Asheville is making a port call in Perth as we speak. And later this decade, we'll also be establishing a rotational presence of U.S. and U.K. nuclear-powered subs in Australia to help develop the workforce Australia is going to need to build and maintain its fleet. One of the vessels you see behind me is a Virginia-class nuclear-powered submarine, USS Missouri. Top-of-the-line submarines are the vanguard of U.S. naval power. And excuse me for a point of personal privilege, as they say in the United States Senate, where I spend a lot of time. These submarines hold a special place for the Bidens. My wife, Dr. Jill Biden, is a sponsor of the USS Delaware, a Virginia-class submarine, and she never lets me forget it. They feature cutting-edge propulsion technology, provide unmatched stealth and maneuverability. And with the support and approval of Congress, beginning in the early 2030s, the United States will sell 3 Virginia-class submarines to Australia with the potential to sell up to 2 more if needed, jump-starting their undersea capability a decade earlier than many predicted. But the ultimate goal isn't just selling subs to Australia. It's developing something new together. We're calling it the SSN AUKUS, this new state-of-the-art, conventionally armed, nuclear-powered submarine that will combine UK submarine technology and design with American technology. And I want to reiterate, again, the SSN AUKUS will not have nuclear weapons.
That's US President Joe Biden in San Diego speaking as we speak with the detail of the AUKUS announcement. We are following throughout the morning. We'll be crossing to Canberra a little bit later. Penny Wong and Simon Birmingham will be on the program and bring you all the highlights of the press conference as it continues throughout the morning.
I got to say, I don't think the enormity of this has hit people in Australia yet. It only really hit me watching Biden talking in specifics about what this is going to mean for Perth. The picture that he painted of submarines coming here, I mean, you know, conceivably within the next 12 months, you'll be able to go down to Port Adelaide and see one of the world's largest nuclear-powered subs just sitting there.
Without a doubt.
At the new Osborne facility as it's being built with the $2 billion. But a couple of headline points out of his speech so far, and we're going to be monitoring that because we're going to be hearing from Rishi Sunak and also Anthony Albanese later this morning. They're all there together at the moment in San Diego. But first point was a fairly clear strategic one. We run the Pacific. The Pacific is our backyard, and Australia is our best ally in the Pacific in maintaining democracy and freedom. But also, interestingly, really hammering the no nukes message, which is of huge help for Albo with the cell job here in Australia to reassure people we're not part of a nuclear missile program.
No.
We are part of a nuclear-powered submarine
Which is illegal
program.
to nuclear non-proliferation treaty, to which we're a signatory. You can't.
Massive, though, and massive for jobs, or as Joe said, union jobs.
Union jobs.
A lot of lefties will be happy to hear that. But funny seeing Albo there, though. A little, long-standing left faction leader in Australia from the inner west area of Marrickville. He's up there with the leader of the free world talking about nuclear-powered submarines.
It is quite a spectacle. We'll bring you more from that press conference over the course of the morning and all the analysis. Stay with us here on 5AA Breakfast. Let's check traffic.
Busy in a few spots already this morning, including South Road at Mile also Bolivar Road at Kings Road. Got a lane out of action, slowing things up at Monopara Main North Road near Curtis Road, speeds at 40, and those works are continuing at Bedford Park on the Southern Expressway. 2 lanes out of action, speeds reduced for the drive in. Cameras this morning, Chief Street, Bronson and May Terrace at Lockleys. It's the final week of Mall Fest in Rondell Mall. Experience the best of festival season with pop-ups, performances and more till Sunday. Plus, shop till 7 p.m. this Saturday. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
You can always expect the very best from Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances. Right now, save up to $1,000 on ASCO cooking. Save up to $300 on all ASCO laundry and up to $1,000 off ASCO dishwashers. We can also arrange delivery, installation and removal of your old appliance and supply 6 months of our Power of 4 cleaning detergent. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances. Haynham Road, St Peters. T's and C's apply.
If you love your home but you've never been in love with your kitchen, the answer is not far away.
No, it's not. It's just 15 minutes up the freeway. In fact, that's where you'll find Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It boasts the largest kitchen design showroom in the Adelaide Hills. Plus, it's a family business with 35 years' experience, so they care about taking care of you.
And their expertise goes further than kitchens too. They can create laundries, linen cupboards, robes and vanities, plus all cabinet installations are backed by a 10-year warranty.
Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream kitchen a reality. Check out their website, balhannakitchens.com.au.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
"26 minutes after 7, Anthony Albanese on his feet in San Diego will bring you what he had to say immediately following the 5AA News at 7:30. Stephen Rose joins us on this Tuesday morning, round 1 of the AFL season, about to kick off 48 hours' time. Rowie, good morning to you.
Yeah, just a season preview. Good morning, Pembo and Will. I'll start with Port. They've got an enormous amount of pressure on their shoulders, I think. Ken's 11th season, a club mission statement to, well, win the next 3 flags. They got a fan base. Well, they're as towy as a Roman sandal, everyone I meet. They've got the finger on the trigger. 2 poor trial games. Look, they've got a solid first 5 games ahead. I suggest this. Click your seatbelts on, grab the popcorn, and just enjoy the ride, because this month of footy with them is going to be exhilarating. Look, I think they'll still make the 8. They'll start slow. They'll get it together. They've got too good a list. But if they don't, oh my goodness gracious me.
You do get the feeling that if they have if the opening 10 rounds are bad, the fans are going to be hard to control, aren't they? A lot of them are fed up already.
Yeah, strap yourselves in. As I said, their fingers on the trigger. Crows are sitting under the radar. I think they've got their fingers and toes crossed for a growth year. That's all I can say. We went to a media day. There was Nixie, Adam Kelly, the chairman and the CEO. And the word I took out of that was buoyed. I think they're buoyed by the growth of this list. I think they're buoyed by the talent they've now got. And honestly, Rankin's going to excite us. They're buoyed by their pre-season and their form. And I just hope it doesn't come crashing down versus GWS round 1. I say that because the last 3 years, one team has taken them by the scruff of the neck and absolutely smoked them with speed of ball movement and speed of fleet of foot, and that's GWS. So I couldn't imagine a better first round game than with GWS. So I think the Crows will have a growth year. I hope they can get 10, 11, 12 wins. You know, it's not 8, 9, 10, it's 10, 11, 12. I'm sure they can. Hey, the season's here, you bloody little beauty. Not a cloud in the sky. The birds are chirping. Honestly, don't you love it when the season starts? Because the scoreboard reads 0-0. No one's lost, no one's won. Yee-hoo!
Absolutely. Good on you, Rowie. Rowie, Timmy G, Sports Show tonight, all the build-up to those round one fixtures. Anthony Albanese on his feet, and with not a hint of overstatement, has described today as the single biggest investment in Australia's defence capability in our history. You'll hear him speak right after 5 News.
How much do you know about shingles? You might know shingles is caused by reactivation of the chickenpox virus. But did you know up to 99.5% of people aged 50 and over already carry the virus in their bodies? And about 1 in 3 Australians will develop shingles in their lifetime. Don't wait to find out if it's you. Talk to a healthcare professional about shingles and visit knowshingles.com.au. That's no spelt K-N-O-W. Individual symptoms may vary, sponsored by GSK Melbourne.
At Anderson Solicitors, putting people first is second nature. No matter who you are or what your problem is, we are committed to helping find the right solution for you every time. With locations across the state, whether you need help with family law, commercial law, wills and estates or personal injury claims, talk to Andersons today. Visit andersons.com.au or phone 8238 6666. Anderson Solicitors. People first in every case.
Car, bus or truck window smashed, cracked, scratched or chipped? Call Complete Windscreens. For over 40 years, this family-owned SA company have given motorists a clear view of the road ahead with their 24-hour windscreen repair and replacement service. No one does it better than Hayden and Lindsay Dean at Complete Windscreens, which is the very reason you should tell your insurer you want Complete Windscreens on the job. You deserve the best, most reliable and cheapest. CompleteWindscreen.com.au.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny and 27 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Gliderroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
Australia will purchase 3 US nuclear-powered submarines and produce a fleet of 8 more Australian-made ones under the AUKUS Pact currently being announced in San Diego. Charles Crouch is there.
Flanked by the USS Missouri, Anthony Albanese joined Joe Biden and Rishi Sunak to announce the $250 billion program. Beginning this year, there'll be more US nuclear subs in Australian ports, with the permanent rotation of US and UK submarines to operate out of HMAS Sterling in Perth from 2027. Australia will purchase at least 3 US-made Virginia-class attack subs to be delivered in the 2030s, with the first of 8 Australian-built SSN AUKUS submarines scheduled to be delivered in the early 2040s. The AUKUS-class submarine will be a joint initiative of all 3 nations and will also service the Royal Navy in Britain.
Police are investigating after a Molotov cocktail was thrown at a house in Paravista overnight. Luckily, it didn't take hold outside the Nelson Road home and the occupant was able to extinguish the flames. There was no damage or injuries, but police are asking any witnesses to come forward. While lithium batteries have been blamed for sparking a house fire on Sutherland Road at Ferredon Park last night, no one was home at the time. And 3 people and their pet dog had to flee their home on Mario Drive at Paralawi after fire broke out in the garage. Fire crews managed to stop it spreading to the house. The cause is unclear. Some promising news on South Australian jockey Jamie Carr. She's awake and communicating with her family after a sickening race fall at Flemington on Saturday, while a crowd of around 7,000 turned out at Morfettville yesterday to see Rebel Racer win the Adelaide Cup ahead of Aurora Symphony. Gold Coast helicopter crash survivor Nicholas Tadros has thanked Australians for their love and support. More from Mia Glover.
Nicholas Tadros, just 10 years old, suffered extensive injuries in the January 2nd helicopter crash that claimed the life of his mother, Vanessa Tadros. His father, Simon, watching on as the helicopter they were both in crash-landed on a sandbank. Almost every part of little Nicky's body was broken in the crash. He's undergone 30 operations. But last night, speaking to a current affair, we finally got to meet the boy behind the smile. He wanted to thank Australians for all their support and also says he's now enjoying McDonald's, in particular a Big Mac.
A Queensland boy whose transplant bone marrow cells were bizarrely left on a US tarmac has undergone potentially life-saving surgery. 6-year-old Matteo Eglerton received a stem cell transplant yesterday. He and his family will have to wait 2 to 3 weeks to see if it's been successful or not. NAPLAN tests start this week for students around the country. Data shows those whose parents are unemployed are more likely to skip the tests. The figures published in The Australian suggest children whose parents don't have jobs are about 3 times more likely to stay home. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Rand.
Thank you, Kendall. The countdown is on to the start of the AFL season, which begins on Thursday night with Richmond up against Carlton. The Crows and Port Adelaide will be in action this weekend. Jake Stringer, meantime, will miss his 3rd straight round 1 match for Essendon after being ruled out of Sunday's clash with a hamstring injury. Bombers great Matthew Lloyd telling Wide World of Sports the Bombers should be looking to the reigning premiers for player management.
Yeah, with expectations low, Geelong did it last year with Dangerfield. I think Stringer, give him 4 weeks, otherwise you just in, out, give him a mini pre-season now.
Australia has lost its test series to India 2-1 after the 4th and final test of that series finished in a draw. The Aussies reached 2 for 175 in their second innings when the match was called off. South Aussie Travis Head top scoring with 90. Meantime, New Zealand has won another thrilling test match, this time against Sri Lanka in Christchurch. The home side needed 1 to win off the final ball of the test and scurried through for a bye.
Oh, it's Messi's out. If he hits, he's out. He's safe. Oh, double play. Double play will go in upstairs. Oh, he's home. He's safe. New Zealand have navigated their way through a host of challenges to win in the most remarkable circumstances.
The amazing finish, audio thanks to Fox Sports. And in some tennis to finish, Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime is through to the round of 16 at Indian Wells in California. That's after a comprehensive straight sets win against Argentina's Francisco Cerundolo. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Worried about cheap insurance? Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS and TMD at amy.com.au and consider whether it's right for you.
Busy in a few spots already this morning, including South Road at Mile End, also Bolivar Road at Kings Road. Got a lane out of action, slowing things up at Monopara Main North Road near Curtis Road, speeds at 40, and those works are continuing at Bedford Park on the Southern Expressway. 2 lanes out of action, speeds reduced for the drive in. Cameras this morning, Chief Street, Bronson and May Terrace at Lockleys. It's the final week of Mall Fest in Rondell Mall. Experience the best of festival season with pop-ups, performances and more till Sunday. Plus, shop till 7 p.m. this Saturday. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast, mostly sunny and 27 today, more of the same tomorrow, 29, Thursday 27 and warmer on Friday up to 34. Right now 12. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Adelaide Direct Stationers is more than just stationery. We're one of SA's largest suppliers of tech products, washroom products, PPE, workplace health and safety equipment, office furniture, food, snacks, beverages and much more. We have all your office and business needs in one place, with free next day delivery on orders over $50, plus same day 2-hour express delivery. Adelaide Direct Stationers, serving SA's largest businesses and a preferred government supplier. Visit adelaidedirectstationers.com.au.
Our friends at Bob Burns Blinds are feeling moorish. You know, you can feel peckish, well, they're feeling moorish.
That's right. For a limited time only, the more curtains and blinds you buy, the more discount you'll receive from our great friends at Bob Burns Blinds, which means it's the more the merrier.
Yeah, we've been out to Bob Burns Blinds. We met the whole team, and they are just incredibly passionate about what they do.
That's right. The team pride themselves on quick installation, high-quality materials, an extensive product range and first-rate service.
And for a limited time only, the more curtains and blinds you buy, the more discount you'll receive at Bob Burns Blinds.
So look, if you've been putting it off, now's definitely the time to create those stunning indoor and outdoor living spaces you've always wanted.
Buy more, save more. Book your free measure and quote today at bobburnsblinds.com.au. Conditions apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
22 minutes to 8. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on his feet now, speaking at the AUKUS announcement at the naval base at San Diego. A few moments ago, Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister of Australia, wrapped up what he had to say.
Today, a new chapter in the relationship between our nation, the United States and the United Kingdom begins. A friendship built on our shared values, our commitment to democracy and our common vision for a peaceful and a prosperous future. The AUKUS agreement we confirm here in San Diego represents the biggest single investment in Australia's defence capability in all of our history, strengthening Australia's national security and stability in our region. From early in the next decade, Australia will take delivery of 3 US Virginia-class nuclear-powered submarines. We are also proud to partner with the United Kingdom to construct the next generation submarine to be called SSN AUKUS, a new conventionally armed nuclear-powered submarine based on a British design and incorporating cutting-edge Australian, UK and US technologies. Our agreement unlocks a set of transformative opportunities for jobs and skills and research and innovation in Adelaide and in Barrow-in-Furness, in Western Australia and here in the United States. Opportunities that will shape and strengthen and grow Australia's economy for decades and create around 20,000 direct jobs for Australians from many trades and specialisations.
And while the press conference has been going on, some more details about what to expect here in South Australia. There will be a dedicated skills and training academy that will be designed to deliver tailored education, training and skills for Australia's submarine and shipbuilding workforce. There will be 4,000, up to 4,000 jobs to design and build the new shipyard. So that's not to build the submarines, to build the shipyard. Then between 4,000 and 5,500 to build the subs at the peak of construction in 20 to 30 years' time. And here in South Australia, the new infrastructure investment will consist of the Osborne Shipbuilding Precinct and works including site identification and design, land transfer discussions, civil works and prototype facilities. That's the sort of stuff that will begin this year.
So many things are going to change on the ground in South Australia over the coming decade as well. We'll mention the Submarines Academy. One of the other reasons that Peter Malinauskas has been pushing so hard for the merger between Adelaide Uni and Uni SA is to look at the creation of highly vocational sub-related courses that currently do not exist. There's only one school of nuclear engineering in Australia right now, and it's in New South Wales.
Isn't there a half dozen kids that study it in the whole country? Or something staggering. It's some small
there's
number.
Less than 20, and it's now the future of our manufacturing base in this country. So as we listen to this show today, your grandchildren, your yet-to-be-born grandchildren, who knows what they're going to be studying after they graduate from high school in 10, 15, 20 years' time. We're going to stay with this story all morning. After 8 o'clock, we'll be joined by the Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, and also the Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs, Simon Birmingham. Well, a couple of weeks ago, the world collectively sighed when news broke that some of those infernal sensitivity readers had got their hands on Roald Dahl's books and changed apparently hurtful terms such as fat to enormous, ugly, was expunged from the record in a whole range of Dahl books. Well, Enid Blyton is the latest author to receive the sensitivity treatment. And this is a great story because it's come about as a result of the eagle-eyed, sleuth-like work of the son of a colleague and friend of mine, Claire Harvey, who's the editorial director at The Australian, who was listening to Enid Blyton on audiobooks in the car. Hey, Claire, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I read your column today about how all of this unfolded in the Oz. Walk us through it.
Well, we were driving back from the beach. We had a Saturday afternoon at the beach, and everybody was covered in sand, and we put on the Enid Blyton audiobook, which my kids love, kind of, even though I find them a little bit kind of naff and jolly hockey sticks. And, you know, as kids do, they've memorised these books. So you're just quietly listening along and, you know, everybody's having lashings of ginger beer. And then suddenly my son says, they've changed this book. And I had told him about the Roald Dahl changes, and you know, perhaps I had sort of suggested to him that I thought that the Roald Dahl changes were stupid, and he'd kind of agreed with me. And so I said to him, they probably haven't. They probably haven't changed this book. You know, I don't think they would do that to Enid Blyton. And then he said it again. They've changed this. You know, they've taken out "shut up." and they've taken out "Don't be an idiot," and they've taken out "Don't be an ass," which is something that one of the characters says in this particular story. And so when we got home, I went and found the original of this audiobook. I compared it to the current version that was playing from my Apple bookstore. I went and got the original text of the book, and he was right. In the last few months, since we listened to this story, someone has gone in and cut out words from the original recording.
So presumably the logic is that these days you can't use terms as brusque or as insensitive as "shut up" or "idiot," I guess.
I mean, "shut up" and "idiot" are things that I try to get my kids to not say to each other. But and I don't have to worry about "ass" because that's not in their lexicon. But I mean, so there's a great mystery of why. This is a book where the things that I find offensive are that Anne, the kind of girly girl character, is the one always doing the washing up and cleaning up after everybody, and that every working class character in the book is an idiot or just a bit of a knuckle dragger. So we've had lots of conversations, me and the kids, about how I think Enid Blyton might have been a bit of a snob and that she wasn't quite sort of down with feminism, but it's a little trip back into history for the kids, and they love it.
Well, as you say too in your great column today, Claire, kids are smart enough to work things out and to realise that things come from a different era. And, you make the point yourself that you can have that conversation in the back of the car with your kids about how it's not right that Anne sort of tied to the kitchen preparing food for everyone while they go off having all these great adventures. So,
yeah, and the other thing about it is that I paid for this audiobook. I paid for it and downloaded it. And this is something about the age of digital communications, right? Hachette, which is a publisher of this book, thinks that even though I paid for it and I bought it in the condition it was when I paid for it, that they still own it and it's their right to change it as they see fit.
They're protecting you from yourself, Claire.
Yeah. If I went and bought a jumper and then, Scanlon and Theodore decided they didn't like the way they'd done it anymore and they wanted to change it, and they demanded me to bring it back to the shop, that wouldn't fly.
Yeah,
it's completely outrageous.
No, it's an amazing story, and well done to your son. That's just 8 years old. He's already got his first scoop. Excellent work. Hey, Claire, great to chat to you. Claire Harvey, the editorial director at The Australian there, with this great exclusive story about Enid Blyton getting the chop.
It's a new front in the whole cancel culture discussion, is it? Because usually it's based around the fringes of inclusivity and what racial epithets or characterizations of gender. I've never heard "shut up" being removed.
I must admit, I was watching about half an hour of the Oscar coverage last night, and I kept having flashbacks to the Federated Actors Guild and Team America. Just this almost uniform consensus now that we need to, the world needs to be an exact numerical reflection of what the census suggests it is. In fact, it needs to probably go more the other way to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
It's just, life's not like that. I'm not defending a world where every TV show looked like Friends. I mean, I think that show is almost like, white supremacy turned into a sitcom. There needs to be a happy balance, and Friends most certainly isn't it, but it's more the sort of cloying nature of the worrying classes these days that drives everybody around the twist.
I just didn't know "shut up" needed to be banned.
Well, apparently it does.
I think there are worse things on TV and radio you hear than that at the moment, aren't there? Or am I just knocking around in different circles?
Well, the problem is if every publishing house now has a sensitivity reader, they're not really doing their jobs if they haven't found something to worry about by 3 o'clock.
I think that is the problem in one. 12 to 8, we've got a jury coming up in just a moment. If you'd like to be part of it, give us a call on 8223 0000. Everyone who's on the jury will get a FIVEAA breakfast mug. It's a simple one this morning. We're asking you about the subs deal that's being announced as we speak. In fact, the press conference is wrapped up now. We move to the analysis phase of everything. Based on what you've heard thus far, and you'll continue to hear more on FIVEAA breakfast over the course of the morning, when it comes to the impact here in South Australia, are you a supporter or are you a cynic?
Supporter or cynic?
Supporter or cynic for the jury this morning. Do you think we will benefit, or do you think this is all a bit Bit of a fugazi. 8223 You can text us on the Dutton's text line as well. 0448081395.
What does it stand for? You can't say it on air, can you?
No. It's,
I'm thinking of FIVEAA.
Yeah, you're thinking of FIVEAA.
Excellent.
12
you were.
Supporter or cynic for the jury, 8223 is the number. Let's check traffic.
Good morning. Busy in a few spots this morning already, including West Terrace in the city. Also Diagonal Road, Ackland East. Good line out of action this morning at Frueville, Glen Osmond Road near Fullerton Road, speeds at 40, and slow going for works at Elizabeth North, Main North Road near Walmer Road, speeds at down to 60. Cameras today, May Terrace, Lockleys and Chief Streets at Brompton. King G's new trademark range is now available at Totally Workwear. Check out this new range of quality and comfortable workwear at Totally Workwear, in-store or online today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
You can always expect the very best from Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances. Right now, save up to $1,000 on ASCO cooking. Save up to $300 on all ASCO laundry and up to $1,000 off ASCO dishwashers. We can also arrange delivery, installation and removal of your old appliance and supply 6 months of our Power of 4 cleaning detergent. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances. Paynham Road, St Peters. T's and C's apply.
Please don't hold this against me, but if buy urban bathrooms and kitchens is not your thing, well, that's that's okay. I mean, if people gushing over your new kitchen and bathroom means nothing to you, nothing at all, that's completely fine, I guess. But if you do appreciate millimetre-perfect craftsmanship and service of the highest standard, start here. buyurban.com.au. Adelaide's home renovation experts.
Now, with summer coming to a close, it's the perfect time to prepare your home for the cooler months ahead. Updating your window furnishings is one of the best ways to create a naturally warm home over winter.
It's true to say that so much of your home's warmth is lost through your windows, which is why Rundle Blinds and Curtains have some stunning solutions to keep the heat in and save on your energy bills. Luxaflex Duet shades, thank you, David.
They're terrific.
Are a great example. They are the original and the best honeycomb blinds that trap heat in their cells and insulate your home. They come in an array of fabrics, colours and delivery mechanisms, and they can also be custom fit to any shaped window.
So what's not to love? Rundle Blinds and Curtains is Adelaide's premier window furnishings company. Visit the Kings Park showroom or call 8274 1210.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Here's who you can support around Adelaide. See classic F1 cars, Group A, V8 supercars, alongside electric race cars and brand displays at Victoria Park, March 25 and 26. Search Adelaide Motorsport Festival. Join Brett Kavanagh and Debbie Fitzsimmons for music from the cinema and organ spectacular at the Capri Theatre, Sunday, February 26. Book at capri.org.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
8 to 8, South Australian Senators Penny Wong and Simon Birmingham on after 8 o'clock to talk about the AUKUS agreement. We'll cross to Canberra too. Phil Curry's done a power of work writing this morning. An element of the story that's been unreported at this point too is the diplomatic wrangling that's gone on behind the scenes. 60 countries, Phil, reporting that the Prime Minister had called and spoken to ease concerns about what this deal means. 60 countries. So
how do you do that and keep a lid on the detail? And how long is each of those conversations? I mean, presumably they all go for at least 3 minutes. So that's 3 hours gone.
Yeah.
If you do it back to back without taking a breath.
We will talk to him about that after 8 o'clock this morning. Right now, though, it's time for a jury trial. If you'd like to be part of it, 8223 0000 is the number, and you'll be rewarded with a 5AA breakfast mug.
Not available in stores?
Not available in stores for your jury service.
In the criminal justice system, all defendants are innocent until proven guilty, either by confession, plea bargain, or trial by jury. This is one of those trials.
Sort of a tough question this morning, but it relates to the breaking news of the moment, and that is this massive deal. And we've been focusing on the element of it that pertains to job creation and economic stimulus in South Australia. Obviously, it's bigger and broader than that in terms of a strategic announcement, a defence announcement. But on the question of what it will mean for South Australia, the jury's been convened to determine whether people are overwhelmingly supportive or cynical of the announcement today. Now, you might be supportive of it on account of the broad brush figures that we're seeing. 5,500 jobs created in the boat construction phase, some 4,000 during the construction of the shipyard. The $2 billion that'll be invested in the first instance here in South Australia, setting these things up. The training college. You might look at all that and go, well, I'm supportive of this. This is a good news story this morning for South Australia. You might be sceptical because you'll say, well, what if the strategic landscape changes? What if the subsequent governments say, well, this is not a good idea? What if the economic situation changes and we can't, and someone resolves on a government level that this isn't an appropriate way to spend taxpayers' money? Then South Australia loses out. So you're supportive or sceptical that this will ever come to pass this morning? For South Australia, we're not talking about the broader deal, just for the South Australian component of it, 8223 0000. You can win yourself a FIVEAA breakfast mug in the process. Let's start the jury trial. Juror number 1, good morning. You supportive or sceptical?
Supportive.
Good work, juror. Supportive. That's juror number 1. That was an assertive supportive too. Juror number 2, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think, juror number 2?
I'm supportive.
You're supportive. Good to hear it. I was wondering when this jury convened whether we'd get all the sceptics ringing in. You know, it's a sort of a clarion call to people who sort of think the whole thing's...
Or the Green voters.
Because
the Greens they're coming out saying this whole thing's nonsense.
Oh, they'll hate it. Yeah.
Not fans at all.
Exactly right. Let's go to juror number 3. Morning, juror number 3.
Good morning. Supportive.
Supportive as well.
Yep.
We don't seem to have too many Green listeners listening to the old FIVEAA breakfast show, Will.
Is that a surprise?
We've had a couple of texts about it that have been critical.
Hence we raised the question. Juror number 4, good morning. You're there, juror number 4.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Morning, I'm supportive of it.
You're supportive as well, juror number 4. You know what, I think we can just about say that...
Stop the fight.
You can stop the fight. It's whatever happens from this point on, it's a majority of jurors now saying that they are supportive of the deal. We should read out one of the sceptical texts on the Dutton's text line just for the sake of balance too.
Well, it's quite a thoughtful one too. Judy in Noongar Down says the cost of cars, white goods, etc., would have been built and sold every year to millions, yet these subs will not be available until what? Or for what, rather? A security problem that may never happen. Judy saying we may be spending vast amounts of money jumping at shadows.
You spend the money to hope... Because you spend the money in defence for 2 reasons, to fight wars and to not have to fight wars.
It's like an insurance policy.
Well, yeah, it is, but it's also a deterrent. The very nature of having these will make us less likely to be engaged in a major conflict. That's what you make the investment for. But it's against the backdrop of Martin McClory, who we spoke to before 7 o'clock. I reckon that's the tough sell.
Yeah, the bloke who's went up $100.
Went up $100. He's waiting for a kidney transplant, and now he doesn't know how he's going to survive and sustain his daughter. That's the really tough sell, I think, at the moment. Let's go and hand it over to John Blake, and when we come back, we continue our coverage with Penny Wong, Simon Birmingham, and Phil Curry in the nation's capital. But right now, it is John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
At Home with David and Kate.
Living at home with a great big family, a journalist and politician. Home with David and Kate. New Orleans jazz and a little bit of gardening, a rain-wise pool at home with David and Kate.
Oh, isn't this great? Love WOMAD.
Daddy, I have to have a wee. Yeah, me too.
You know what it stands for?
A full bladder.
No, WOMAD stands for World of Music, Arts and Dance.
It stands for Music, Arts and Daddy, I want a wee. Music, asses and duty.
Oh, really? What about you, Kate?
Yeah, me too, Dave.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be long now.
But there's too many people in front of us.
Yeah, well, they all want a wee as well.
But why do we have to wait so long?
Because I think there was a miscalculation vis-a-vis the number of available portaloos divided by the number of tickets sold to healthy urinary tracts.
What does that mean? The world of music, arts, and not enough dunnies.
You know the portaloo was invented by George Harding in the 1960s?
Daddy!
Oh, this is great. I love WOMAD.
Daddy, I'm hungry. Me too.
Well, that's why we're getting something to eat.
But this line is longer than the other line.
Yeah, I think someone miscalculated the number of food trucks divided by the number of...
I'm hungry.
Don't you just love a music festival?
We haven't seen any music.
No, that's true. Well, we'll get some food and then we'll listen to music.
Hooray!
Righto, everybody got their food?
Yes, Daddy.
Great. Well, time to go home.
Oh, Daddy.
I knew we should have gone to the races.
At home with David and Kate.
Just missed out the bit where you hurt yourself on a was it Moreton Bay fig?
A Moreton Bay fig root. No, luckily we were only there yesterday and the crowds were good.
Yeah.
It was easy.
It's coming up to 8 o'clock. 5AA News is coming up. We'll have more from Blakey with Behind Closed Doors after 8:30 and Phil Curry next from Canberra.
G'day, it's Eddie May here from NRG Solar. People buy a solar system to save money and do the right thing by the environment. So why would you buy a battery? Well, people buy a battery because they want independence from the grid. They don't want to be inconvenienced in the event of a blackout and, of course, protect themselves from future power rises. Now, electricity is going up, so whatever your needs are regarding solar and battery storage, you can rely on NRG Solar for the right solution. Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny and 27 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
The Prime Minister says plans to acquire nuclear-powered submarines will create around 20,000 jobs. As part of the next stage of the AUKUS alliance, we'll buy at least 3 Virginia-class vessels from the US. There'll be a stopgap measure until we can build our own here. Anthony Albanese says the investment in our military capability means major opportunities for the nation, especially SA.
Opportunities that will shape and strengthen and grow Australia's economy for decades and create around 20,000 direct jobs for Australians from many trades and specialisations.
But it'll come with a big price tag of $50 to $58 billion over the next 10 years. Defence Minister Richard Marles says it's a necessary investment.
Defence spending is a function of strategic complexity and strategic threat. With that in mind, it's very important that Australia positions itself to deal with the future, and I think that is going to require an increasing defence spend.
A Molotov cocktail was thrown at a house in Paravista early this morning. The occupant of the Nelson Road home quickly put out the flames and no damage was caused. Police are investigating. A woman was caught drink driving at Kadina last night after crashing into a rock. Senior Constable Jan Cullinan says she blew 5 times over the limit.
The driver, who's a 64-year-old woman from Kadina, submitted to a breath test where she returned a positive result of 0.68.
She's been reported for drink driving, driving under the influence, aggravated driving without due care, and has lost her licence for 12 months. Her car's also been impounded for 28 days. South Australian jockey Jamie Carr is now awake and communicating with her family after a sickening race fall at Flemington on Saturday. She was heavily sedated after suffering a bad concussion, but fortunately scans have cleared her of any skull fractures or brain injury. And it was a big day of racing at Morphettville yesterday with the Adelaide Cup. Rebel Racer held off Aurora Symphony to win. The 10-year-old Sydney boy who survived a fatal helicopter crash on the Gold Coast says he's in good spirits. Nicholas Tadros was in a helicopter at SeaWorld when it crashed into another chopper. His mother died. After undergoing more than 30 operations, including a partial leg amputation, Nicky's told A Current Affair his doctors are pleased.
My kidneys have woke up and I'm no more on a fluid restriction, and my liver levels have gotten better, and all my blood test results have came back really good.
Australian investors don't expect the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank in the US to spark problems around the world. Experts say the combination of forces which brought down the US lender are highly specific. Prince William and the Duchess of Wales have joined King Charles for the Commonwealth Day service in London. More from US correspondent Jessica Millwood.
This was King Charles' first Commonwealth Day service as head of the Commonwealth, the senior royals coming together at Westminster Abbey to mark the day. The monarch delivered an address saying he draws inspiration from his late mother, Queen Elizabeth, noting her long dedication to Commonwealth countries. This year's theme, Forging a Sustainable and Peaceful Common Future. King Charles issuing a rallying call of sorts to the nations to achieve common global good. The next time the royal family will come together at Westminster Abbey will be for the King's coronation in May.
Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with footy. Adam Kingsley admits it's hard to say how well GWS will go this season ahead of round one. The new Giants coach expects Sunday's home game against the Crows to give him a good indication.
It's our first test in anger, really, and so we'll get a good gauge to see where we're at. You know, I've been really pleased with our pre-season thus far, but again, we haven't played anyone other than the Gold Coast last week in a practice match. So you always think you're going well, but the true test comes round one and beyond.
The Crows will train this morning ahead of that match, with Matt Crouch already ruled out with a minor fracture to his fibula, which he sustained last week at training, but it's expected he'll only miss a few weeks. To cricket now, a World Test Championship final between Australia and India is locked in after the fourth test in Ahmedabad ended in a draw. India claimed the series 2-1. The two sides will meet again at the Oval in London from the 7th of June. Adelaide United's teenage sensation Nestoroy Irankunda has been rewarded for his outstanding run of form, named as a train-on player with the Socceroos squad for two upcoming matches against Ecuador, which will be played in the next fortnight. His Reds teammates Craig Goodwin and keeper Joe Gauci have also been named in the 26-man squad. No Australians left in the singles draw at Indian Wells in California, but the action rolls on with Felix Auger-Aliassime into the fourth round. That's following a straight sets win, while Oz Open semi-finalist Tommy Paul came from a set down to take care of Poland's Herbert Hurkacz in 3 sets. And Australia's through to the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic for the first time after defeating the Czech Republic 8-3. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now checking traffic.
Worried about cheap insurance? Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS and TMD at amy.com.au and consider whether it's right for you.
Good morning. Look out for breakdown on the Southern Expressway at Morford Vale. It's near Sheriff's Road, causing delays inbound at the moment. Gillis Plains got a smash Grand Junction Road at Wantana Avenue. Plimpton Park, reports of a crash there. Marion Road near Bray Street with delays inbound. Busy at the moment. Diagonal Road at Glenelg East with cameras today. Chief Street, Brompton and George Streets at Theberton. UniSuper is open for every Australian. At UniSuper, 40 years of knowledge and perseverance nurtures what matters most. Look forward, think great. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now to the weather, a mostly sunny and 27 today. More of the same tomorrow, 29. 27 for Thursday and warmer on Friday, up to 34. At the moment, 14. More news as it happens on 5AA.
You've decided to build? It's exciting stuff. When you've found land, it's a good idea to get advice on what you can build on your new parcel of paradise. Get Steve from Beechwood Homes to take a look. There's no obligation, and you'll get a great understanding of what's possible. Sloping block, flat block, weird shaped block, or block on a cliff. Speak with Steve from Beechwood Homes for all the possibilities. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
It's a beautiful day.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
8 after 8, 27 the top today, as you just heard. Magnificent day on the way and a significant day in the history of this country and indeed the state. We've been doing a balancing act looking at both those elements. We'll continue to do that in the next hour on the program and indeed on 5AA throughout the day, because Matthew Pantelis is sitting down with the Premier of South Australia, Peter Malinauskas, who in fact in the last minute has just put out a tweet saying something similar to what he texted us earlier into the program when he was lauding how good this deal was for South Australia. He says the significance of this moment cannot be overstated. We now have a massive task ahead of us to prepare the highly skilled workforce to capitalise on this historic opportunity. An economic and jobs story for South Australia, a strategic story for Australia and our place in the world, a huge story for the history of the Royal Australian Navy as well. A massive day today, and in the next hour, in addition to Matthew Pantelis speaking to the Premier, we'll have Simon Birmingham and Penny Wong on the program.
Really important text here on the Duttons text line from Jim in Golden Grove, because the one thing that has defined South Australia for generations now is the brain drain. Jim in Golden Grove says, "Morning guys, my eldest is currently at high school looking for a career in STEM. This announcement potentially gives him a job in SA for most of his working life. It's a pretty epic day for South Australia."
All right, let's head to Canberra.
Well, a special breaking at 8 this morning, because there's no bigger story anywhere in the world right now than the new AUKUS deal and what it means. Phil Curry is the national political editor for the Australian Financial Review and our regular political contributor here on 5AA. Phil, this is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's big, and as you said in your intro, South Australia gets a fair slice of the action. So it won't be till I think 2042 under the plan announced today that that's the third stage. So what this thing happens in 3 stages. Starting this year, we're going to get visits from American and then British nuclear submarines, and then they'll be rotated out of Perth from 27 onwards. In the next stage is we buy some second-hand American nuclear subs next decade, and then in 2042 we start building our own, and they'll be built in Adelaide. But that's 19 years away, but the work has to start straight away. So over the next 4 years, there'll be $2 billion spent just on upgrading the Osborne shipyards, because they'll have to be much bigger than they are now, and they'll need twice as many people working on these subs than would have been working on the French submarines. So there'll be a $2 billion upgrade, and then there'll be, I think that'll employ roughly about 4,000 people, and then once they start building these things, they're going to need 4,000 to 5,500 people full-time working there. So it is, I think, as you said, that listener of yours rang in, there's sort of potentially, whole careers now could be, if you're a kid at the moment, you could sort of get a whole career out of this. That's assuming it all goes to plan, of course, but it's not cheap.
No, but it's almost too big not to go to plan, isn't it, Phil?
Well, it is, and the opposition is, the opposition is rock solid behind it. Andrew Hastie, the Defence Shadow Minister, said yesterday, this is he used those words, too big to fail, and this needs absolute bipartisanship, because this is going to span the life of many, many governments. So when, once you go down this path, you can't really stop. So, so it's sort of good news in that front. But it's sad we have to do this, I guess. The reasons why we need these things. But at the end of the day, hopefully we don't ever actually have to use them in anger.
Do you think, Phil, it's a significant statement about how the Australian government and parties of both sides now see Australia's place in the world? I mean, there are 6 countries that have nuclear submarines. I don't think historically we've seen ourselves as sort of in that playground, so to speak.
No, look, and it was just, sort of Tony Abbott used to mention it. We should have bought nuclear subs. Everyone thought he was crazy. And then it was really Scott Morrison who, as you remember, just woke up one day and said, we're not doing these French things. They're not fit for purpose. And, we've got to get out of that French contract. And he was right. And we've just come out of a briefing for 2 hours with all the defence brass and the officials and the defence minister and everyone else. I was saying the same thing. There's no place for diesel subs anymore. They say you can't sort of go and hide behind a bush and breathe and then pop out again and resume. They're obsolete now, or they'll fast become obsolete. And so, Morrison, for all the misery he got heaped upon him for making the decision, is now a sort of, everyone's saying what a good job he did. So, including Labor. So, except for the French
visionary.
All that sort of thing. Yeah, well, full credit to him. It is totally. Bloke needs some legacy. So, there's just furious agreement now from both sides. It's nuclear subs or nothing at all. Diesel subs, the old Collins class. They're coming to the end of their life, and it's pointless it's a bit like building new petrol cars when we're in the age of electric. They're just not fit for purpose anymore.
Well, Phil, we know you've been up since Sparrows to do the lock-up. I think it started at 5 a.m. this morning, so we appreciate you joining us.
No, that's okay. There is just one little hook in it for South Australia you might want to ask the Premier about. It's sort of buried in the documents, but in about 25 years we're going to need a high-level nuclear waste dump.
Okay. Well, we've got a Royal Commission report about that somewhere.
So we've been squabbling for 30 years about burying lab coats over near Sagina somewhere. I think that's a bit of a sleeper issue.
We might have to give the Mayor of Kimber a ring to see if he's got a bit more space. Just behind the big pink galah.
Shove him inside.
That's right. Good on you, Phil.
Good spot, Phil.
Good spot, absolutely. Yeah. That's why we've got him. He's the best in the business. Phil mentioned the opposition and their support for the AUKUS deal. Obviously, it was something that was unveiled when Scott Morrison was still the Prime Minister. Senator Simon Birmingham, long-standing Liberal Senator for SA and the federal opposition leader in the Senate, joins us now. Burmo, good morning. What's your take on this? It seems to be pretty much unadorned good news, does it not?
Good morning, guys. Good to be with you. Well, look, we welcome the next steps in progress of AUKUS. It was one of the most important things that I will have ever been a part of as a member of the previous government, to make the decision to go down the path of getting nuclear-powered submarines. And we were only able to do that because we had restored the defence budget to 2% of GDP and made Australia a credible partner for countries like the US and UK to go down this type of path. So it's good news to see that the now government has continued with that, has delivered on the task force work that we set in place, is undertaking these next steps and the investment attached to it. Of course, there'll be plenty of questions that we want to make sure we understand and get to the bottom of, including from an SA perspective. There's talk now that the first Australian-built submarine won't be coming out until in the 2040s. We had hoped to have that achieved in the 2030s. So understanding in terms of the timing issues there, understanding just what that means for investment in SA, and critically also understanding whether or not the full life of type extension will occur to all of the Collins-class submarines, all 6 of them at present, which is a very big driver of jobs in SA, or whether this acquisition of US-built Virginia-class submarines earlier means that some of those Collins-class submarines don't face that extension, which would have real impacts for SA, as well as where the sustainment work for the Virginia-class subs will be undertaken.
Your leader expressed a preference for an evolved Virginia-class rather than an evolved British class of submarine that the SSN AUKUS will ultimately be derived from. Are you supportive of the model that was announced today, whereby it is it's something that will be built by Britain first, us next, with US parts?
Well, we'll be looking to step through all of the detail there. There are some very significant changes that the UK are adapting in terms of access to US nuclear reactor technology, US weapon systems, which are also the same weapon systems that we use. So the new SSN AUKUS will be, I think, an evolution of potentially the best of the Astute class and the best of the Virginia class is what we should be aspiring for, the best of British and best of the US, if you like. And that's certainly what we should be driving for. And from an Australian perspective, we should make sure that just as this has been a true tripartite partnership to date, in the design of that new vessel, we would want to make sure that we have the US as deeply involved in that design process as the UK.
Just going back to the start of this announcement that was made when you guys were in government, and some of that hasn't been explored as much as you might imagine for an acquisition of this size and scale. The strategic imperative behind the nuclear submarine program. We heard Phil Curry talk about, well, yeah, if you're going to start building submarines, you want those that are going to be future-proofed, and that's nuclear, not conventional subs. But the actual strategic reasoning behind why Australia needs to spend this much on this particular defence platform, can you give us a bit of an insight into what the thinking was then?
Absolutely. So, I mean, firstly, why submarines? Well, that is answered by virtue of the fact that we're a maritime nation, an island continent with vast ocean access points in all directions, that we are in a region of the Indo-Pacific seeing significant military build-up. But as technology has changed, the conventionally powered submarines, the diesel-powered submarines that we currently operate and we're going to build more will become more detectable. One of the most critical aspects to submarines is the stealth, the undetectability with how they move beneath the ocean, and the fact that diesel-powered submarines had to come up and snort, as they call it, means that over time they were going to be more easily tracked and traced and detected, whereas nuclear-powered submarines and the modern generation of nuclear-powered submarines we are accessing are able to spend 30 years operating, and the only reasons they have to come up to the surface are literally the human reasons in terms of recrewing, restocking for food or supplies, those types of aspects. The actual powering of them can go endlessly throughout that 30-year life of the sealed nuclear reactor that fuels them.
Good stuff, Burmo. Senator Simon Birmingham, the federal opposition leader in the Senate. Thanks for joining us this morning on 5AA.
We'll hear from Penny Wong, from the South Australian Senator Penny Wong.
You ever been on a sub?
No, I'd love to.
I can't think of anything worse.
No, I'd love to. My
Would you?
absolute dream would be to go on a submarine.
I would not even go down on one for a visit. I reckon I'd totally freak out.
Just because the sort of claustrophobia of it.
But what Burmo was just saying then, like, they only ever stop to get food. So conceivably,
nuclear submarines.
You'll be down there for what, a month, 2 months?
Yeah.
Oh, you'd send you spare. It would send me completely insane.
Yeah, I think for a certain type of person, but I'd love to.
I reckon for heaps of people.
I wouldn't serve on one.
I think most people. Have we got any Submariners listening?
Oh yeah. Let's hear from someone.
Yeah.
What's it like? 8223 0000 or text us on the Dutton's text line. 20 after 7. It's time to check traffic. We'll be back in just a moment.
At Gillis Plains, got a smash on Grand Junction Road at Wandana Avenue. Morford Vale, breakdown on the Southern Expressway near Sheriff's Road. While at Plimpton Park, got a crash on Marion Road near Bray Street with delays inbound. Busy at the moment, South Road at Myland, also West Terrace in the city, and slow going for works with a lane closed at Frueville, Glen Osmond Road near Fullerton Road, speeds at 40. Got a camera to George Street at Thibberton. Red Roosters, $2.50 snack subs, each with succulent chicken, crisp lettuce, and your choice of sauce packed into a sub. The Roosters calling. Get it where you can, while you can. Available all day. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
Warren Tredray. Just seen pictures of Adelaide Oval turf. What a disgrace. Now, who was that curly-headed ringer that played on Adelaide Oval turf? Who was that?
Do you know what? Terrific.
Well,
you know what I say to
call
this?
him that. He's ricked our oval, mate.
You know what I say to this?
Rowie and Timmy G.
The ball's going to be bounced. They're going to replace the turf and fix it up. And it might look a little brown. Who gives us stuff?
I give us stuff.
No, Rowie.
4 p.m. weekdays on 5AA.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options. Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Get a Toyota forklift. If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Local and experienced trade specialists.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
As we all know, SA is going through a housing crisis right now, but McGain Real Estate are trying to help out as best they can.
So if you're a landlord looking to sell your property but feeling a bit guilty about disrupting an awesome tenant, well, McGain want to help. They have landlords ready to buy your property and keep that tenant in place.
McGain have hundreds of landlords ready to buy investment property, so there's no need to stress about asking the tenant to move out or waiting for the lease to end. These astute buyers know the value of a good tenant and want to keep them in place and happy.
And with these investment buyers ready to go, you could also save thousands on marketing, meaning it's a win-win.
There's a reason you see signs popping up everywhere saying, sold by McGain again. Visit McGain.com.au.
At Bob Burns Blinds, you get more. More choice, more style, more service. And for a limited time, even more savings. Right now, the more curtains and blinds you buy, the more discount you'll receive at Bob Burns Blinds. Quick installation, high quality materials, an extensive product range, and first-rate service. That's gotta leave you feeling moreish. Don't wait. Buy more, save more. Right now at Bob Burns Blinds. Book your free measure and quote today at bobburnsblinds.com.au. Conditions apply.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Oh yes, the movie bowl came out on Friday with the Adelaide Cup Day long weekend interrupting normal service. And you, our listeners, voted for Groundhog Day to be watched by Lucy.
Overwhelmingly, no one voted for When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, it was all
Not
Groundhog
one.
Day, wasn't it?
All Groundhog Day.
Lucy's in the studio. Morning to you, Luce.
Hello. I think I jinxed it when I was voting for When Harry Met Sally, so our loyal listeners rightly said, well, no way.
You don't get to choose.
You are still allowed to watch it, though.
Oh, I'll get around to it eventually.
It's not like the losing film is on your banned list.
No, but let me tell you, Groundhog Day might be on my banned list.
Oh!
I found it very boring.
What?
I can see why Bill Murray was good in the film, and I see why people like the film because of him. It has got that huge comedic element, it's got romance, got a bit of an existential type crisis, but I was bored out of my brains for the entire hour, 41 minutes.
There you go.
My goodness.
However, English was my best subject at school, and therefore I love a deep analysis of a plot line. So I didn't mind that if you do look a little bit deeper past the stupid comedy of it, you can have a proper think about the underlying reckoning theme to the film. Like, can a human really relive the same day over and over again to try and fix their life, or can you atone for your wrongdoings? Can you redo a day to make sure you live the best life you possibly can? Yeah, didn't mind that deeper thought process, but found it still boring. 2 stars at best.
Oh my God, Luce.
That was harsh. The scene I picked today is when he's in a cafe. One of the many scenes is in a cafe with Andie MacDowell. I don't know what it is about Andie MacDowell. I love Forwardings and a Funeral. I really dislike watching her as well. It's a bit of a negative review today.
Luce.
Cop that, Andie MacDowell.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's the scene I picked.
I'm a god.
You're a god.
I'm a god. I'm not the god. I don't think.
Because you survived a car wreck? You folks ready to order?
I didn't just survive a wreck. I wasn't just blown up yesterday. I have been stabbed, shot, poisoned, frozen, hung, electrocuted, and burned.
Oh, really?
And every morning I wake up without a scratch on me, not a dent in the fender. I am an immortal.
Special today is blueberry waffles. Why are you telling me this?
Because I want you to believe in me.
You're not a god. You can take my word for it. This is 12 years of Catholic school talking. I could come back if you're not ready.
So I liked that scene. The waitress is hovering awkwardly, and he's gone through every day trying to get out of this cycle. He's jumped off buildings. He crashed a car. As he said, he's tried to end his own life to get out of it numerous times, and she's awkwardly hovering there, telling him what the specials are.
Don't let this experience make you turn your back on Bill Murray, though. Like his oeuvre. Have you ever seen Kingpin?
No.
You've never seen Caddyshack?
No.
Lost in Translation?
No.
Stripes?
No.
The Life Aquatic?
No. I know
There's
I'm a
5
huge
films you got to see.
I know I'm a huge disappointment today, but too bad.
I've got a theory about this. Is it because his character laughs at the concept that Andie MacDowell studied 19th century French poetry? Did that turn you off the entire film?
No, because I studied 18th century French poetry, and that also wasn't thrilling.
Who was
like
that?
this film.
Baudelaire? Was he kicking around then?
Yes.
Rimbaud?
So
No, he was 20th century modernist.
2 out of 5 for Bill Murray's
Suck on that, Bill Murray.
Wow.
Groundhog Day.
Wow.
I welcome all debates, but that's what I thought.
We should send this audio to Bill. He might drive in here drunkenly in a golf cart and attack you with a 9-iron, Lise. He does that kind of stuff.
Wouldn't matter to me. I wouldn't blink an eyelid.
Good on you, Luce. Stomping on a classic this morning.
That's
That's
great.
what it's all about. Foodland Supermarkets, Facebook and YouTube live stream if you want to watch along over the course of the morning, or leave us your thoughts there. We're going to leave you for a moment with 5AA News, and when we come back, Penny Wong is going to join us. We'll continue our conversation around the AUKUS sub deal. In fact, just before we go there, let's do a couple of Dutton's texts, because there's a whole stack coming through.
One here from Peter. Guys, I'm still trying to figure out, are we getting fully refurbished Virginia subs, or ones that only have 10 to 15 years left? The quoted lifespan of Virginia subs is 33 years.
Well,
I wouldn't know.
We're not getting brand spanking new ones, Peter, I think, is reading between the lines. But whether they've been refurbished or not, I actually haven't seen anyone say explicitly to this point. The part there's a risk factor for the Australian taxpayer is presumably at some point in time we're going to be operating 3 classes of submarine in Australia. We'll have rolled out the first SSN AUKUS, we'll have the Virginias still rolling through, and the refurbished Collins that have been the benefit of the life of type extension. That strikes me as unsustainable for a country of our size. Obviously, it'll only be a very small period of time, but yeah, the question Peter raises is a very important one.
Another one here. It won't be the pink galah in Kimber. It'll be the glowing green galah. Good on you. We'll ask Penny Wong about the nuclear waste aspect, which Phil alerted us to after 8:30.
29 minutes after 8.
You can always expect the very best from Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances. Right now, save up to $1,000 on ASCO cooking. Save up to $300 on all ASCO laundry and up to $1,000 off ASCO dishwashers. We can also arrange delivery, installation and removal of your old appliance and supply 6 months of our Power of 4 cleaning detergent. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of designer appliances. Paynham Road, St Peters. T's and C's apply.
Imagine a new bathroom in days, not weeks. Call Bathroom Works now to get a free information package on how to breathe new life into your bathroom for a fraction of the cost of replacing. It's an affordable, hassle-free way to transform your bathroom to new in any colour you like. No retiling, no replumbing, no mess, and guaranteed for 7 years. Call Bathroom Works on 1800 644 171 or visit bathroomwerx.com for your free information package on how you can breathe new life into your bathroom.
Now, it's never too hard to imagine having the perfect bathroom at home, but what does it really cost, Will?
Well, that's one of the great things about Bioban bathrooms and kitchens. When they renovate a bathroom, they do it to suit your budget. In fact, David Cox and the incredible team at Bioban can show you how to do a lot more with less. They'll plan every detail, and it means you know exactly how much it will cost and what the outcome will be.
Now, your bathroom is without doubt one of the most important rooms in your home. Plus, it's an investment. Get it right, and it will add incredible value and appeal to your home, but get it wrong and you'll be stuck with the darn thing forever.
For bathrooms, visit bioban.com.au, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny and 27 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Gliderroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
Australia will buy American-made nuclear-powered submarines in our nation's largest ever defence investment. Zach De Silva has details.
Submarines from the US and UK will visit Australia more over the coming years to prepare us for having our own. The federal government will spend at least $250 billion first buying American vessels and eventually building a new design here. Anthony Albanese says the plan will create around 20,000 local jobs.
Scientists, technicians, submariners.
Australians are already receiving training to maintain and operate the high-tech vessels. US President Joe Biden says it's important to upskill our defence force.
Nuclear propulsion is a highly complicated technology.
We'll begin operating the subs from mid-next decade.
A Molotov cocktail's been thrown at a home at Para Vista. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says they were called to Nelson Road just after 3.
Luckily, the fire didn't take hold and the occupant was able to extinguish the fire, and there's been no damage to the home or injury to the occupant. So crime scene investigators have attended, and we're asking if anybody saw any suspicious activity in the street or has any information, please call Crime Stoppers.
Well, FIVEAA investigators have determined a blaze at a home on Sutherland Road at Ferredon Park last night was sparked by lithium batteries. It's left a damaged bill of over $150,000. And there was another house fire on Mario Drive at Paralawi last night. It broke out in the garage, causing $50,000 damage. A woman blew nearly 5 times over the legal limit after crashing into a rock at Kadina last night. It happened on Lipson Avenue just before 11 p.m. The 64-year-old local woman's been reported for drink driving and aggravated driving without due care. She's lost her licence for 12 months and her car's been impounded for 28 days. The US president has sought to reassure Americans over the country's banking system after 2 banks collapsed. More from US correspondent Alison Petrovsky.
President Biden insisted emergency measures would not be paid for by taxpayers as additional American banks come under stress.
Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe.
US regulators were forced to step in with a series of emergency measures after Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank collapsed over the weekend. Trading was temporarily halted in dozens of regional US banks this morning as shares fell by up to 75% when Wall Street opened, as investors worry about a broader financial crisis.
King Charles has given his first Commonwealth Day speech since becoming monarch. He paid tribute to his late mother before saying the Commonwealth amazes and inspires him.
Its near boundless potential as a force for good in the world demands our highest ambition. Its sheer scale challenges us to unite and be bold.
And a transgender woman has applied to play in the semi-professional women's NBL 1 South League. Basketball Victoria's confirmed the athletes in the final stages of eligibility to join the league's upcoming season, agreeing to medical and physical testing under the new assessment process. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
10-year warranty and 10-year capped price servicing at Agostino Mitsubishi, Nailsworth and Elizabeth.
Here's Tom Rand.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide defender Tom Duday has moved to a lay fears he wants out of the club at the end of the season. The 26-year-old missed out on the captaincy with Jordan Dawson preferred over him, but Duday has told 9 News he's very settled in Adelaide and loves the club.
Dog here, got house here, my partner's moved over and pretty set in Adelaide. So it's not something that I'm just going to jump at any opportunity and move, and it's something I want to be here, but it's just about making sure it's the right time to figure that out.
The Crows take on GWS in their season opener on Sunday. Carlton, meantime, will blood 2 debutants in front of more than 90,000 people against Richmond in Thursday's season opener. Draftees Ollie Hollands and Lockie Cowan were both told yesterday. Blues coach Michael Voss telling Fox Footy both have earned their place in the side.
It's amazing to sort of throw 2 kids out there and just, how do they handle it? I don't think we're going in hoping. We look at we've got a fair body of work that we've seen since December when they've come on board, and they've slowly been able to adapt our way, and they'll grow within the roles that they've been given.
Let's go to Cricket. Australia's squad will now turn its attention to the upcoming one-day series against India after the Test series wrapped up yesterday. The 4th Test finished in a draw, meaning the home side won the series 2-1. Legendary boxer Jeff Fennick believes Tim Tszyu has finally gained the respect he deserves after his brutal win over Tony Harrison. He's told Wide World of Sports undisputed world champion Jermell Charlo will have taken notice.
Let me tell you, if he watched that and doesn't think Tim's dangerous, then something's wrong with him. He's going to get knocked out by Tim. So he needs to prepare 1,000,000% properly for this big fight that's coming up.
And one game in the A-League last night with Western United 2-1 winners against the Melbourne Victory. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Worried about cheap insurance? Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by Amy, read the PDS and TMD at amy.com.au and consider whether it's right for you.
And Gillis Plains got a smash on Grand Junction Road at Wandana Avenue. Morford Farm got a breakdown on the Southern Expressway near Sheriff's Road. Plimpton Park, a crash in Marion Road near Bray Street. Got delays inbound there, and we're busy at the moment West Terrace in the city. A few cameras look out from the driving today, including Chief Street, Brompton, and also Grange Road at Kidman Park. Host Plus has been named Super Rating Super Fun of the Year for 2023. That's a plus. Issued by Host Plus Pty Limited. Check the PDS and TMD at hostplus.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
To the weather, mostly sunny, heading for 27 today. More of the same tomorrow, 29. Thursday, 27. And warmer for Friday, 34. Right now, 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem, or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware, and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
Did you know that about 1 in 3 people will develop shingles in their lifetime, regardless of how healthy they may feel? Don't wait to find out if you're one of them. To learn more, talk to your healthcare professional and visit noshingles.com.au. Sponsored by GSK Melbourne.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
22 to 9, behind closed doors still to come in this half hour of the program. Then immediately after 9 o'clock with Matthew Pantelis, the Premier of South Australia, Peter Malinowskis, will reflect on the announcement that we've been reporting on right throughout the morning since it was made at 7:15 today. The US President, the British Prime Minister and the Australian Prime Minister all stood up in San Diego to announce the details of the AUKUS agreement. The Premier welcomed it, as I imagine will our next guest, the Foreign Minister of Australia, South Australian Senator Penny Wong. Senator, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, Pembo.
Penny, we'll be unashamedly parochial, as we often are here on the 5AA Breakfast Show. Firstly, huge news for South Australia.
It is huge news. I mean, look, this is the biggest single investment in our national power in Australia's history. But for those of us in South Australia, it is the biggest single investment in South Australia in our history. Full stop. And it will transform our state, it will transform our economy, and it will change for decades to come the opportunities young South Australians have, just in the way, but at a much greater level of complexity that the car industry changed our state for so many decades.
We went to uni together, Penny, and I reckon...
We did.
I reckon, I'm not going to tell any stories, but I reckon more than half of our friends don't live in Adelaide. Would you agree with that? Maybe more?
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think we've seen over years a lot of people going to state. You know, Adelaide's a lot of people from Adelaide are in senior positions, in high-profile positions, in important positions internationally and in the state. You know, whether it's in foreign affairs, including in the department, where you saw, Francis Addison was the secretary, or Annabel Crabb, or Sam Maiden. I mean, there are so many people.
Phil
Dr. Spoyer. Yeah, Phil Curry, yep.
Because I think the thing, more so for our parents and grandparents, so much of what has defined the sort of sense of almost dread for parents in Adelaide is the idea that your kid's going to have to move, be that a white-collar job, and increasingly now with the FIFO economy, blue-collar jobs. This can change that, can't it?
This can change that, and the reason I talked about economic complexity is because I just want to emphasise this isn't just this is jobs at all sorts of levels. It's not just construction jobs. It is construction jobs, and that's great. But this is an investment in infrastructure, in skills, and in the capacity to be part of producing some of probably the most complex engineering product capability that is nuclear-powered submarines that we have. So you can think about the spin-off effects to the whole economy, as well as the direct employment, which is, between 4,000 and 5,500 direct jobs here in Adelaide on the subs, plus 4,000 on the construction. So I think it's a wonderful thing to think of where we will be in 20 years, 30 years in terms of the economic base that South Australia will have.
Senator, what would you say to reassure people who are concerned that for that economic benefit to be realised and those jobs to be realised, that this is a plan that needs to survive changes of president in the United States, changes of government in the UK, and changes of government in Australia as well?
Well, first point I'd make is I think in all of those countries there is broad political support for this. Second, what I'd say is you will see investment from this year. We're already seeing Australian submariners being trained and working, being trained and to be embedded in US and UK forces. But I'd say more broadly, this is a multi-decade undertaking, and it's essentially an investment in all three countries, making sure we are one big submarine construction and sustainment yard. With different bases, different aspects being done elsewhere, but we're all part of the same project. So I think by necessity, that will mean, we will have to stay the course because we want to stay the course. And we see the benefits in Australia and South Australia and Adelaide, just as the US and the UK see benefits for them.
With your Foreign Minister hat on for a moment, do you have any concerns about what the reaction to this deal being announced in China will be, given we've seen in recent weeks and months are something of a thawing of the trade relationship, with lobster looking like it's going to be back on the menu in China, Australian lobster, wine, barley, and some of those things that had unofficial trade bans posted on them looked like they were coming back. Are they at risk because of this at all?
Well, what I'd say publicly and what I've said privately is this: Australia seeks this capability in order to help keep the peace. Australia seeks this capability in order to ensure we contribute to deterrence, to a stable, peaceful region in which sovereignty is respected. Australia always works to be part of a region which is peaceful and stable, and any capability we have, we see as being part of enabling that strategic balance or an equilibrium where all countries can maintain their sovereignty and where stability is respected. We never seek to escalate in what we do in the region or more generally.
Penny, one thing Phil pointed out when we caught up with him, Phil Curry, after 8 o'clock, was that there's a mention in the agreement of the need to create some sort of nuclear waste storage facility in South Australia in about 25 years' time. How do you see that playing out?
Well, the location. Well, first, we have a responsibility because we're obviously very committed to the Non-Proliferation Treaty. We have a responsibility to deal with nuclear waste appropriately, and this will require us over the years to come. And this is not an obligation which will apply, where we will not have to store anything until the 2050s. We will have to find a location to store the waste from nuclear propulsion. So what we will do is to go through an audit of defence land, defence estate, and Defence will make recommendations to government. But we are talking some decades off, and no location has been determined.
Penny Wong, the Foreign Minister, thank you so much for joining us this morning on what is a huge day in the history of SA and the country.
Big day. Thanks very much for having me.
Cheers.
15 to 9. I think,
speaking of changes of government, Australia's probably never going to have a more left-wing government than the one it's currently got. If you think about like the ideological sort of heritage of Anthony Albanese, the two people who are closest to him inside the government, we just spoke to one of them, Penny Wong, and the other one is South Australia's own Mark Butler, member for Port Adelaide. So if these guys are on board with it, it's hard to see a future government, unless Sarah Hanson-Young becomes Prime Minister, who's going to tear this up from the Australian end.
All I would say in answer to that is that the horizon for this is so long. We just don't know what the world will look like in 10 years' time. And it might not be an ideological opposition. It might be an economic one.
Well, that's a good point.
I don't want to say that to poo-poo it. I'm cheering it on. I want it to happen.
Not that we oppose it morally, but we just can't pay for it.
Absolutely. We just say, look, the world has changed so much, or the strategic situation changes with regard to China. Maybe there's a leadership change there. I mean, these are all, you get in the world of hypotheticals.
In other equally important news, there's been a massive groundswell of support for Lucy Loken on the Duttons text line. We have had a whole stack of messages of support along these lines. Karen, I agree with Lucy. I found Groundhog Day so boring that I fell asleep. Conversely, there's been a few, though. Nathan in Eden Hill says Lucy has terrible taste. And looking at you as I say that, Lucy, and one here from Greg simply says Lucy has to go. A job-ending moment.
Well, in regards to Groundhog Day, he says. Maybe just for all Groundhog Day-related content in future from Greg.
One here from Gary, good point. Talking about the brain drain, my grandson had to go to RMIT in Melbourne for aerospace engineering when we have the space industry headquartered in Adelaide. SA unis need to review their courses. Indeed they do, Gary, but indeed they are. This is a big part of what the merger talks are about.
Yeah, the Groundhog Day response is a good lesson in that extreme opinion tends to be the loudest in any conversation, even though it might not be the most numerically prominent, because our listeners have simultaneously voted unanimously for Lucy to watch Groundhog Day, and then in response to her bagging have all said she's right. The Duttons text line for all your thoughts. 3 dealerships and 10 franchises in the Adelaide Hills and Murray Bridge. Duttons, easy to do business with. We'll check traffic and come back with behind closed doors and more of your thoughts in just a moment.
Add more for FIVEAA. We've got a breakdown on the Southern Expressway near Sheriff's Road. Plimpton Park, a crash on Marine Road near Bray Street. Got delays inbound at the moment. Quite busy in a few spots, including Bolivar Road of the Salisbury Highway, also West Terrace in the city. Slow going for works at Elizabeth North. Main North Road near Womber Road, speeds at 60, with cameras today at Delphi Terrace, Glenorg North and May Terrace at Lockleys. Enjoy the Mercedes-Benz GLC 300 SUV with savings from $3,900, but only while limited stocks last. Visit a Mercedes-Benz retailer today, T&C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic count, 5AA.
The AUKUS details finally announced this morning 8 nuclear-powered submarines within the next 30 years. The first Adelaide-built subs scheduled for around 2042. It's years away. What does it all mean? We'll speak with the Premier and others on 5AA Mornings. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Join me from 9.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar. More and more South Australians are taking control of their energy bills with solar and battery storage. In fact, Australians are taking up battery storage in record numbers because they're sick of rising power bills and being locked into a system where someone else calls the shots. The other huge bonus of going with NRG Solar and battery storage is that you'll be protected from blackouts with an uninterrupted power supply. Take control. Visit nrgsolar.com.au.
It's a frightening thought. But what if you lost the capacity to manage your financial affairs? If you're not at the helm, who makes medical or health decisions? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers will answer your questions and help carry out your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com. Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
Get ready to feel the love and excitement as the premier Neil Diamond tribute act Diamond takes the stage for one night only performance starring Ty Penshawn. Diamond pays tribute to the legendary singer-songwriter with a captivating, energetic show that will have you singing along to all of your favourite hits.
This is going to be a great night. With over 20 years' experience as the voice of Neil Diamond in Diamond the Show, Ty's mastered the art of imitating the legend. Backed by his fabulous 8-piece band with a dynamic brass section and female backing vocals, the Diamond Show captures all the hits that made Neil Diamond so famous.
Don't miss Ty Penshawn, one of Australia's best Neil Diamond tributes, live at the Regal Theatre, one night only, Saturday, March 25. Book now. Trybooking.com.
Bob Burns Blinds is feeling more-ish. For a limited time only, the more curtains and blinds you buy, the more discount you receive at Bob Burns Blinds. The more, the merrier. With quick installation, high-quality materials, an extensive product range, and first-rate service, now's the time to create those stunning indoor and outdoor living spaces that you've always wanted. Buy more, save more. Book your free measure and quote today at bobburnsblinds.com.au. Conditions apply.
Car, bus or truck window smashed, cracked, scratched or chipped? Call Complete Windscreens. For over 40 years, this family-owned SA company have given motorists a clear view of the road ahead with their 24-hour windscreen repair and replacement service. No one does it better than Hayden and Lindsay Dean at Complete Windscreens, which is the very reason you should tell your insurer you want Complete Windscreens on the job. You deserve the best, most reliable and cheapest. CompleteWindscreen.com.au.
9 News is made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
And has been since 1959.
I'm Kate Collins.
And I'm Brenton Raglas. Join us for 9 News tonight at 6.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. This is 5AA Breakfast.
9 minutes to 9, behind closed doors in just a moment. Fuel Watch first. Find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the free My RAA app from your app store today and let it slowly on its way down from the $2 mark. Some cheaper spots for you this morning. The ex-convenient Semaphore Road Semaphore, $1.86.5. The Coles Express OG Road Clemzig, $1.89.9. The cheapest unleaded at the United South Road Melrose Park, really cheap, $1.67.5. The cheapest diesel we've found in Adelaide, the BP Victoria Road Largs Bay, $1.84.9. Some sad news regarding a sports person who I suspect you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who changed their sport more, has passed away overnight. Dick Fosbury died at the age of just 76. He had a short bout with a recurrence of lymphoma. Of course, famously, he's the Fosbury as in the Fosbury flop, the jumping style. that he pioneered in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City that now is just how you do the high jump.
It's weird watching people do the high jump pre-Fosbury, where they look like complete nungs, just running straight towards the mat, doing these weird little scissor kicks and inevitably knocking it over.
They started with a scissor kick, and then they moved to the run-up straight jump, and you'd roll over the bar ever so slightly. He did it in 68, didn't even qualify for his high school high jump team. He was not great at it, but came up with the Fosbury flop. Obviously had some natural ability, and took out the gold medal in 68 at the Olympics. Set a new Olympic record in the process. Think about, is there anyone in the realm of sport that comes as close to changing their sport as much as he did? Have a think about it as you listen to him talking in 2010 to some young New Zealand athletes.
I knew that this style was working for me. I felt that it was probable that some other athletes would be able to use this technique, but I just never imagined that it would become universal, that every high jumper virtually in the world would be using this style. And it's been amazing to live through and watch, and it's great to see today that the athletes continue to improve thanks to this technique.
It is remarkable. When he first started doing it, it was sort of an oddity. It was considered a bit of a novelty, and look at this guy, what's he doing? It became normal. The only person I could come up with that has even close is Walter Lindrum, who they had to completely change the rules because he was just too dominant with cannoning, and they changed the way the rules were applied.
I think the two scariest words in the English language are management retreat. The idea of being taken away, locked in a room at some off-site with butcher's paper and so on. But I do remember years ago seeing this really cool presentation by someone who was there to talk to us about work practices, who actually spent most of the lecture talking about Dick Fosbury.
Oh, right.
And we watched the video, and it was clearly the point was, just because you've always done something the same way doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. And it was a really engaging presentation, but watching the slow motion footage of him doing it, and it did make me think, why do we do things a certain way? And you can apply it to a whole bunch of things you do in your life.
The Fosbury flop name came from it was some of your mates. It was a newspaper captioned to a photograph when he was a younger athlete before the Olympics. It said Fosbury flops over the bar. And it was not something. So it wasn't a name he came up with, but it was the local newspaper. First time they were reporting on him performing the jump. It's time to go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed,
1395 Adelaide's 5AA with Mike Keelan and Angie McBride.
Yes, here we are, and hello, Michael Keelan.
Hello, Angie. What is that? Sounds like Pocahontas's last rites or something.
Firstly, Michael, when you say Pocahontas, are you trying to say Pocahontas?
Yeah, probably. It's hard to know lately what it is I'm trying to say at any given time.
Anyway, it's Witchy Woman, Michael.
Well, it's a very unusual way to start a program, isn't it?
You mean starting the show with a huge hit by the Eagles, Michael?
Well, again, that's probably what I'm saying, but who the hell knows?
You know the Eagles, Michael. They sang Hotel California.
Oh, yes, I know them.
Well, there you are.
I'm just not really up with pop culture, you know.
That's not pop culture, Michael. That's just being alive.
Right.
Now, Michael.
Yes, Ange.
On the show today, 40 years of the Capri.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard of John Atwell?
I have, yeah.
Well, he's going to join us and tell us about 40 years of the Capri, and specifically the Wurlitzer organ, which he plays,
yes.
and he's got some shows coming up.
Oh, right.
So we'll look forward to that.
I wonder if John Atwell is related to Winifred Atwell.
Well, you could ask him, Michael, but I don't think you should.
Well, Winifred Atwell would have to be John Atwell's mother, surely.
Why is that, Michael? Because they both have the same surname?
Well, yes, and because John Atwell plays the organ and Winifred Atwell played the piano.
There's a problem with that, Michael.
What's that, Angie?
Winifred Atwell was black.
Right.
And didn't have any children.
Right.
But, Michael.
Yes, Angie.
When he comes on, please do ask him if Winifred Atwell was his mother, because that will be an amazing radio moment.
Right. Stick around for Matthew Pantelis. He's coming up after 9 o'clock this morning with the Premier of South Australia. A very happy, we understand, Peter Malinauskas.
I see, Will, that the tigers at the zoo have had kids.
Excellent
The
animals.
Sumatran tigers.
Good on them.
Showing old Wang Wang and Fooney how it's done.
They care about the fact they're an endangered species.
They do.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on.